When I turned 18, my life took a difficult turn. My parents and twin sister decided there wasn't enough space for me at home, essentially forcing me to leave. For the next few years, I struggled with an unstable life, moving from one temporary living situation to another, even living in a tent at one point. I did whatever I could to get by. Despite these challenges, I eventually built a stable life and was able to buy my own house. Now, at 26, just as I've gotten my life in order, my family has suddenly reappeared, led by my sister, who is now expecting her fourth child. They showed up at my door unannounced, looking to move in. This is the same sister who once pushed for me to be kicked out, saying there wasn't enough room for both of us in our childhood home. Growing up, I always felt like I was treated as less important than my sister. It was clear our parents preferred her, and they even admitted they wouldn't have had me if my sister hadn't been conceived. She was always the center of attention, getting all the best toys and clothes, while I barely received enough to keep up appearances. My sister has always shown selfish, narcissistic traits, likely because of how our parents favored her. Instead of being a supportive sibling, she consistently brought me down. The only person who ever treated me kindly in our family was my grandfather. He saw how unfairly I was treated, but when he passed away when I was 15, the last bit of kindness in my home disappeared. When my sister got pregnant as a teenager, our parents married her off to her boyfriend and brought him to live in our already crowded house. This left me without even a couch to sleep on. My dad sometimes slept on the living room couch, so that wasn't an option either. With nowhere else to go and being told not to ask relatives for help, so the family's dysfunction would stay hidden, I was completely forced out. I ended up living in a tent in our backyard, which happened after the police mistakenly brought me home during a brief period of homelessness. This setup was meant to be a reward for keeping quiet about the reality of my living situation. After years of struggle and hard work, I finally managed to improve my life, both physically and emotionally. Now, as my family tries to intrude on the life I've carefully built, I'm at a crossroads, unsure how to deal with their unexpected and unwelcome return. They had once offered me a spot to live in their backyard, but only if I cleaned it up first. Despite the mess, which was littered with flour, sugar, and overrun by rodents, I accepted. At one of the lowest points in my life, I saw this as an opportunity and quickly moved in. My sister, on the other hand, was relieved to see me go, pointing out that there wasn't enough room for me at her place. No one even asked where I was planning to go. Transforming the backyard into a livable space was tough, especially dealing with the rodent problem, but I eventually made it work. Unfortunately, the situation forced me to drop out of high school just a few months before my final exams. My friends encouraged me to stay in the backyard and finish school, but by that time, I had already given up on that path. Instead, I focused on working, relying solely on my earnings to get by. Before long, I realized I needed to improve my skills for a better future. My father was a service technician, and as a kid, I often played with his tools instead of toys, helping him with household repairs. That early experience came in handy later, as I decided to invest in my education and eventually got a job at a car manufacturing plant. I worked hard and steadily climbed the career ladder until I became a design manager. Recently, an old friend who was going through a divorce needed to sell his house quickly. Even though I was hesitant at first, the huge discount and flexible payment plan he offered were too good to pass up, so I decided to buy it. I bought a 4-bedroom house and moved in about 3 weeks ago. To my surprise, my estranged family showed up unannounced at my new home. I hadn't had any contact with them for years, and I lived 17 miles away, so their visit was completely unexpected. I suspect a neighbor who still follows me on social media might have told them where I live. When they barged in, my parents expressed pride in my accomplishments, but it felt strange to see them react to me owning a house at 36, especially since they were still renting. My sister and her husband wandered around the house as if they were inspecting it to move in. When I confronted them, they vaguely claimed they were just checking on me. It was ironic that they suddenly showed interest in my life now, when I didn't need them anymore. During their visit, my sister boldly claimed a bedroom for herself, excited about the private bathroom, as though it was already decided that they would move in. My parents tried to calm her down, asking her to manage her children better. In the middle of this chaos, I was shocked and immediately shut down any discussion about them moving in. The situation quickly escalated as they started pushing the idea that I had a moral obligation to house my sister because of family duty. I stood my ground, reminding them that it was their responsibility, not mine, to provide for their children. I firmly told them to leave my home. making it clear that I wouldn't feel guilty for their poor planning or lack of space. As they left, I felt a sense of peace knowing I was living on my own terms, free from the pressure of their unwanted expectations. I recalled how, back when I was younger, my grandfather allowed my cousin to sleep on the couch, but when I asked for the same favor, he refused and kicked me out. I vented about how I had struggled, living with rodents in my employer's garage and then in a cramped apartment for 10 years, but no one from my family ever checked on me. When I shared these memories, my mother began to cry and tried to hug me, but I stopped her and insisted they leave. My brother-in-law, JN, told me to toughen up, bringing up his own hard times and saying I had more than enough space in my house since I was single. I sharply told him to stay quiet. My sister cursed at me for raising my voice at her husband, but I stood firm and told them they needed to leave, or things would escalate. I made them leave before they could argue back. My anger was clear. I had endured their toxic and selfish behavior for too long, and now their greed was obvious. I was no longer the obedient teenager they used to manipulate. If they had pushed any further, I was fully prepared to involve the police. To clarify, my sister never once offered to pay rent. She and her husband had been freeloading off my parents for over a decade, and now they seemed determined to do the same with me. Despite the clear strain this put on my parents, they never took any steps to encourage her to become independent. Instead, they tried to dump the responsibility onto me. A week after our first confrontation, my mother returned, but this time she was more direct. She argued that my home had enough room to house my sister and her family, again mentioning how crowded things were at their place. I stayed firm in my refusal. When persuasion didn't work, she shifted to veiled threats, implying that my large, mostly empty house was a security risk, and having family around would be safer and help with household chores. I dismissed her manipulative tactics and told her clearly to leave and not come back. Just a few days later, a neighbor informed me of suspicious activity around my house. He said he had seen a pregnant woman, a man, and a young boy peering through my windows and hanging around the backyard, likely trying to break in. I was grateful for his vigilance, gave him my contact information, and asked him to keep an eye on things. I had planned to install security cameras, but unfortunately, I didn't act fast enough. 5 days later, the same neighbor called to say he thought someone had broken into my home. When I rushed back, I found out he was right. My sister and her husband, John, had entered through a rear window. When I confronted them, my sister tried to justify their actions, claiming they had no other choice and accusing me of being unreasonable. As I processed her audacity, John smugly commented on how easy it had been. I lost my temper and physically confronted him. My sister tried to get between us, and in the chaos, their teenage son hit me over the head with a bottle, leaving me bleeding. The situation spiraled out of control, and my sister called our parents, telling them I was the aggressor. When the police arrived, they began sorting things out while my sister and John frantically apologized, begging the officers not to arrest their son. Despite their pleas, I was ready to press charges against all of them. However, my sister denied the break-in and assault, claiming it was just a family visit gone wrong and her son's actions were only a prank. When my parents arrived, they immediately took my sister's side, pressuring me to drop the charges. They banded together to defend her and tried to make me out to be the vindictive one. Faced with their collective denial and manipulation, I realized they were determined to gaslight me into submission. I was determined not to let my family rewrite the narrative of what had happened in my own home. Thankfully, my neighbor stepped forward with a crucial statement, which ultimately led to the arrest of everyone involved in the assault. They spent the night in jail because my parents couldn't afford their bail. The next morning, while they faced trial, I was at the hospital getting treated for my injuries and making sure there were no internal damages. I took a few days off to recover and pressed charges for assault, also seeking compensation for my legal fees, which the court granted. Despite my parents' attempts to persuade me to drop the charges, I stood firm. I even threatened legal action against them for their role in orchestrating the attack. Since my nephew is a minor, he was dealt with under juvenile law and only spent a short time in a juvenile facility, with his parents held responsible for restitution, lost wages, and covering my medical expenses. My sister and her husband were fined heavily. In an attempt to ease their financial burden, they asked the court to allow them to complete part of their fine through community service. Since the incident, things have been quiet. I hope they've learned their lesson and will keep their distance. However, my parents haven't let this go. Just yesterday, they showed up at my door and waited outside for an hour until I reluctantly let them in. They pleaded for my help, but when it became clear they were speaking on behalf of my sister, I immediately refused to get involved. That's when they revealed their real reason for visiting. They were getting older, their home was falling apart, and they wanted to move in with me, expecting me to take them in out of duty. I confronted them about their lack of responsibility as parents. They mentioned the idea of giving their house to my sister, which I saw as another tactic to pressure me. They even suggested that my sister could pay rent to live in my house, and I could use it to cover my mortgage. I firmly declined, stating that my sister needed to handle her own financial problems without my involvement. They continued to plead, arguing that my house was too big for just one person, but I made it clear that my future plans didn't involve staying single or accommodating them out of obligation. Their attempts at emotional manipulation didn't work. I reminded them of how they had treated me in the past and emphasized that I would not be guilted into giving in. It was obvious they were trying to use family ties to their advantage, but I remained firm in setting boundaries to protect my well-being and future. After they left, visibly upset, I closed the door behind them. Regardless of whatever names they might call me, I resolved not to give in to their demands or let them take advantage of me. Now, I'm ready to move on to the next chapter in my life, stronger and wiser from this experience.
I never thought I'd be the kind of person writing about family drama on the internet. But here I am, shaking as I type this. Funny how life works. 1 minute you're transferring your life savings to help someone you love, and the next, you're blocked on every social media platform they have. My name is Yolanda, and I just spent $48,317.68 funding my sister's IVF journey. Every penny I had, plus some I didn't. You're the only one I can trust, Amelia had sobbed into my shoulder 6 months ago, mascara staining my white blouse. Clay left me right before the final round. Who does that? I held her that night as she fell apart in my living room, surrounded by half-empty wine glasses and crumpled tissues. Her husband had packed his bags and disappeared, leaving nothing but a note about needing space and reconsidering parenthood. I'll help you, I promised, stroking her hair. Whatever you need. The next morning, we met with her fertility specialist, Dr. Patterson. I'll never forget how Amelia's hands trembled as she explained her situation. Without your husband's insurance, Dr. Patterson started. I'll cover it, I interrupted. All of it. Amelia's head snapped up. Yolanda, no, that's too much. It's not. I pulled out my checkbook. How much for the next round? That became our routine. Every appointment, every procedure, every medication, I wrote the checks. I liquidated my investment portfolio, took out a personal loan, even sold my car for a cheaper model. Mia, my best friend, thought I was crazy. You need to protect yourself, she warned over coffee. Get everything in writing. I laughed it off. She's my sister, Mia. We don't need paperwork. But Mia insisted, and thank God she did. She drew up loan documents, payment schedules, everything. Amelia signed them without hesitation, too focused on the treatments to care. Once I'm working again, I'll pay you back every cent, she promised, hugging me after each signing. You're going to be the best aunt ever. The day we got the positive pregnancy test, Amelia screamed so loud the nurse dropped her clipboard. We jumped up and down in that sterile office like teenagers, crying and laughing. I couldn't have done this without you, Amelia whispered, clutching my hands. You're going to be there for everything. First ultrasound, gender reveal, birth, everything. That night, we stayed up late on my couch, planning nursery themes and scrolling through baby names. Amelia even suggested using my middle name as the baby's middle name. It felt perfect. Like everything I'd sacrificed had led to this moment. 3 days later, my text started going unanswered. Amelia? I called her on day 4. Straight to voicemail. By day 5, I noticed she'd unfriended me on Facebook, then Instagram, then everything. She's probably just overwhelmed, Mom said when I called her, but something in her voice seemed off. Give her space, Yolanda. This is a delicate time. I drove to Amelia's apartment that evening. Her car was there, lights on inside. I knocked. No answer. I could hear movement, voices. Amelia, please, just talk to me. The curtain twitched. I saw her silhouette, then nothing. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Stop harassing your sister. She told us everything. Everything? What everything? Another buzz. We know you're trying to take over her pregnancy. She needs peace right now. Leave her alone. I stood there in the growing darkness, staring at my phone as reality hit me. Amelia had spun some story, turned me into the villain, and our parents, like always, believed her without question. My phone buzzed one final time. Mia, check your email, now. There it was, a group message from Amelia to our entire extended family. I only needed to read the first line. I need to protect my miracle baby from toxic influences. I sank to the ground outside her door, my legs giving out as I scrolled through paragraph after paragraph of lies. According to Amelia, I was obsessed, controlling, trying to name her baby, demanding to be in the delivery room, threatening her with stress during her precious pregnancy. Not a single mention of the money, the loans, the sacrifices. My phone buzzed again. Mia, remember those documents we signed? Through my tears, I smiled. Because Mia was right. I had everything in writing, and my sister had no idea what was coming. The morning after discovering Amelia's email, my parents called for a family meeting. I knew exactly what was coming. I'd seen this pattern my entire life. Amelia creates chaos. Everyone rushes to protect her, and I'm somehow painted as the bad guy. I pulled into their driveway, gripping my steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Dad was already waiting on the porch, arms crossed. Your mother's upset, he said as I approached. No hello, no how are you. We need to fix this. The living room felt smaller than usual. Mom sat in her favorite armchair, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Amelia wasn't there, of course. She never had to face these confrontations in person. Sit down, Yolanda. Mom gestured to the couch. We need to discuss your behavior. I almost laughed. My behavior? Amelia called me crying last night. Mom's voice cracked. She said you're demanding to name her baby, that you're redecorating her nursery without permission, that you're telling everyone you'll be the baby's second mother. None of that is true, I said quietly. None of it. Dad shifted uncomfortably. She showed us the texts. What texts? The ones where you threatened to take her to court if she didn't let you be in the delivery room. This time I did laugh, pulling out my phone. Show me these texts. Right now. Mom looked away. She deleted them. She was too upset to keep seeing them. How convenient. I opened my message thread with Amelia. Here's our actual last conversation. 3 days ago, I asked if she wanted to grab lunch. She never responded. Before that, we were discussing nursery colors. That's it. You're making her pregnancy all about you, Mom suddenly burst out. This is her miracle baby, her moment. Why can't you just be happy for her? The words hit like a slap. I stood up, hands shaking. Happy for her? I made this happen for her. I paid for everything. She said you offered, Dad interjected. She said it was a gift. My phone buzzed. Mia was calling. I put her on speaker. You're with them? She asked. Yes. Perfect timing. I just emailed you the scanned copies of everything. Share them now. Mom's face tightened. What copies? I pulled out my iPad, opening my email. Every loan document, every payment record, every single dollar I spent making Amelia's miracle possible. Loans? Dad's voice wavered. What loans? I turned the screen toward them. $48,317.68. All documented, all signed by Amelia, all legally binding. The color drained from Mom's face as she scrolled through the PDFs. Payment schedules, repayment terms, Amelia's signature on every page. These could be fake, she whispered. Mia's voice crackled through the speaker. I'm a lawyer, Mrs. Mitchell. I personally notarized every document. Would you like me to share the video recordings of the signings? Silence filled the room. Dad sat heavily on the couch. Why didn't Amelia tell us? He muttered. Because she never intended to pay me back, I said, my voice breaking. She got what she wanted, and now she's trying to push me out completely. Mom started crying again, but this time there was anger in her tears. You're going to sue your pregnant sister? Your own blood? I haven't decided what I'm going to do, I replied, gathering my things, but I want you both to think about something. While you're sitting here accusing me of being jealous and toxic, your precious Amelia is the one spreading lies, the one hiding truth, the one who took everything I had and threw me away. She's pregnant, Mom pleaded. She's emotional, hormonal. Stop making excuses for her, I shouted, finally snapping. For once in your lives, stop protecting her from consequences. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Your sister is devastated. How dare you show those private documents to your parents? You've ruined everything. I recognized Joanna's number, our family friend and Amelia's closest confidant. Of course, Amelia was already spinning this. I have to go, I said, heading for the door. But remember, I have proof of everything, every single thing. Dad called after me. Yolanda, wait. We can figure this out. I turned back one last time. No, Dad. I'm done figuring things out for Amelia. She wanted me gone? Fine. But she's about to learn that actions have consequences. As I drove away, my phone kept buzzing with messages from family members. I didn't need to read them to know what they said. The war had begun, and Amelia had fired the first shot. But she forgot one thing. I had the receipts. All of them. And I was done being the silent sister. Mia insisted we do this properly. If we're going to confront her, let's do it somewhere public, somewhere she can't twist the narrative. That's how we ended up at Salvatore's, the Italian restaurant where our family celebrated every major occasion. I reserved the private dining room, the same one where we toasted Amelia's wedding to Clay 3 years ago. Amelia arrived first, wearing a flowing maternity dress despite barely showing. Mom and Dad followed minutes later. I walked in with Mia, my manila folder clutched like a shield. Really? Amelia scoffed, eyeing Mia. You brought your attack dog lawyer? Mia smiled professionally. I'm here as a witness, Amelia. Nothing more. The waiter hadn't even finished pouring water when Amelia started. I can't believe you're doing this to me. To my baby. Doing what exactly? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Expecting you to honor our agreement? Agreement? She laughed sharply. You offered to help me. You said you wanted to be there for me. I opened my folder. Yes, I did. And you signed these documents agreeing to repay me once you were employed again. I was emotional. You took advantage. Stop. I slid the first document across the table. This is from the first consultation. You were perfectly clear-headed. Here's your signature, acknowledging the loan terms. Mom tried to intervene. Girls, please. And this, I continued, sliding another paper forward, is from 3 weeks later. Another clear acknowledgement of debt. And this one? The day before your successful implantation. Amelia's face flushed. Those were just formalities. You're my sister. Exactly. I'm your sister, who emptied her savings, sold her car, and took out personal loans to help you. And how did you repay me? By blocking me everywhere and spreading lies. You told everyone I was trying to steal your baby's name, that I was redecorating your nursery without permission, that I was threatening you. Dad cleared his throat. Amelia, is that true? Did you make those things up? Her lower lip trembled. Right on cue, the tears started. You don't understand. She was being so controlling, always there, always hovering. Because I cared, my voice cracked, because I sacrificed everything to help you. Mia quietly placed another document on the table. This is the total amount, $48,317.68. According to the signed agreements, Repayment was to begin within 90 days of successful pregnancy confirmation. I'm not working, Amelia protested. I can't possibly. You started a mommy blog last week, I cut in. Already got 3 sponsorship deals. I saw the post before you blocked me. The color drained from her face. Plus, I continued, that new boyfriend of yours, Brody, he moved in pretty quick after Clay left. Funny how you could afford that nursery renovation right after he arrived, Mom gasped. You're renovating already? Amelia's tears dried instantly. You've been stalking me? Joanna talks a lot, I shrugged, especially after 2 glasses of wine. This is harassment. She stood up, hands protectively over her barely there bump. I won't sit here and let you stress out my miracle baby. Sit down, Mia said firmly, or the next conversation will be with the process server. Amelia slowly sank back into her chair. Here's what's going to happen, I said, pulling out one final document. You have 90 days to begin repayment. As originally agreed, $500 monthly minimum. Otherwise, we proceed with legal action. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. Try me. Mom started crying. Please, girls, we can work this out as a family. Family? I laughed bitterly. Amelia destroyed that when she decided to paint me as some crazy, obsessed sister, when she turned all of you against me without a second thought. I was protecting my baby. From what? From the person who made its existence possible? The silence that followed was deafening. Dad stared at his plate. Mom dabbed her eyes. Amelia's face had turned to stone. Fine, she finally said. I'll pay you back. Happy now? No, I replied honestly. I'm not happy. I'm heartbroken. And you know what the worst part is? I would have given you every cent freely if you just kept your promise. If you'd let me be part of this journey instead of throwing me away. I stood up, gathering my documents. You have 90 days, Amelia. Don't make me come collecting. As Mia and I walked out, I heard Amelia's voice, cold and clear. You've ruined everything. I turned back one last time. No, sister. You did that all by yourself. My phone was already buzzing with messages as we left the restaurant. The family grapevine would be burning up tonight. But for the first time since this all began, I didn't care. Let them talk. I had the truth. And more importantly, I had the receipts. The social media storm hit faster than I expected. Within hours of our dinner at Salvatore's, my phone exploded with notifications. Joanna, ever the town crier, had posted a carefully crafted version of events on Facebook. Praying for my dear friend during this difficult time. Some people just can't handle when others are blessed with miracles. Farner pregnancy journey, Yendra, family drama. The comments poured in. Who would sue their own pregnant sister? Money over family? Disgusting. Some people are just jealous they can't have their own kids. That last one stung particularly hard. Nobody except Mia knew about my own infertility diagnosis years ago. The real reason I wanted to help Amelia so badly. My phone rang. It was my cousin Rachel. How could you? She demanded before I could even say hello. Amelia's having panic attacks. Her blood pressure is through the roof. Did she tell you about the money she owes me? She said you offered to help. Out of love. I hung up and opened my laptop. If Amelia wanted to play the social media game, I could play too. I created a throwaway Reddit account and started typing aita for asking my sister to repay the $48K I loaned her for IVF after she cut me off completely. I laid out everything. The loans, the documents, the lies, the blocking. Within minutes, comments flooded in. TA, she used you. Get a lawyer ASAP. Your sister sounds like a narcissist? The post exploded. Within hours, it hit the front page. Thousands of comments, hundreds of awards. People began sharing screenshots on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. My phone buzzed again. A text from Amelia. Take that post down now. I replied with a screenshot of her signature on one of the loan documents. She called immediately. I put her on speaker so Mia, who was with me, could hear. "You're destroying my life," Amelia screamed. "Do you know what people are saying about me? The truth hurts, doesn't it? I'm being harassed. People are sending me horrible messages. I didn't identify you in the post," I said calmly. "You did that yourself by reacting. My sponsorships are pulling out. My mommy blog is tanking." Mia leaned toward the phone. "Perhaps you should have thought about that before defaulting on a legally binding agreement." "Stay out of this," Amelia snapped. "This is between me and my sister." "No," I cut in. "You made it public when you started spreading lies about me, when you turned our family against me, when you posted about your toxic sister on Instagram." "I'm pregnant. I'm hormonal. You're stressing out my baby." "The baby you're carrying thanks to my money?" Silence. Then my phone pinged with a new notification. Joanna had posted again. "Just watched my best friend break down in tears because of online bullying. Shame on anyone who would attack a pregnant woman. Stop the hate." I was about to respond when another message popped up. An email from an unfamiliar address. "Yolanda, we need to talk. It's about Amelia and the IVF. There's something you should know. Clay." My hands started shaking. Clay, Amelia's ex-husband, who'd vanished right before the final treatment, who'd supposedly abandoned her dreams of motherhood. "What is it?" Mia asked, seeing my expression. I showed her the email. "Reply," she said immediately. "This could change everything." I typed back a quick response. "When and where?" His reply came within minutes. "Tomorrow, noon. The coffee shop on 5th. There's more to this story than you know." My phone was still blowing up with family messages. Aunt Susan calling me heartless. Uncle Rob demanding I fix this mess. Cousins choosing sides. Mom sending guilt-trip texts about family loyalty. But none of that mattered now. Because Clay knew something. Something big enough to make him break his months-long silence. I turned to Mia. "Want to meet my ex-brother-in-law for coffee tomorrow?" She grinned. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." My phone pinged one final time. A DM from Brody, Amelia's new boyfriend. "You have no idea what you've started. Back off now, or else." I screenshot it and sent it to Mia. "Add witness intimidation to the legal file," I said quietly. The social media war could rage on. Let Amelia play victim. Let Joanna spread her poison. Let the family choose sides. Because tomorrow at noon, I had a feeling the real truth would finally come out. And something told me Amelia wouldn't be able to spin her way out of this one. Clay looked exactly the same as he had 6 months ago. Tall, tired, and carrying the weight of something heavy on his shoulders. He was already waiting when Mia and I arrived at the coffee shop, 2 manila folders sitting on the table in front of him. "Thanks for meeting me," he said, standing to greet us. "You must be Mia?" "The lawyer," she confirmed, shaking his hand. "Should I have brought my recorder?" "Actually, yes." He gestured to the folders. "You're going to want to document this." The barista had barely set down our coffees when Clay opened the first folder. "Amelia never told me she was continuing the IVF," he said quietly. "I found out yesterday when my lawyer was doing routine checks on our joint accounts from the separation." I frowned. "But you left her, right before the final treatment." He laughed bitterly. "Is that what she told you? I left because I caught her stealing money from my parents' retirement account. She'd already drained $30,000 for previous IVF rounds without telling me." My hands started shaking. "What?" "We agreed to stop treatments, take a break, work on our marriage. Then I discovered the theft, confronted her, and He swallowed hard. "She said she'd tell everyone I'd been abusing her if I didn't let her continue." Mia was already recording. "Do you have proof of these allegations?" He opened the second folder. Bank statements, text messages, and this, the fertility clinic's records showing she used our stored embryos without my consent. My coffee went cold as he laid out the evidence. Screenshots of Amelia's threats. Bank records showing the theft. And most damning, paperwork from the clinic with Clay's forged signature authorizing the use of their frozen embryos. She committed fraud, Mia said flatly. Multiple counts. The baby she's carrying, Clay's voice cracked. That's technically my child, too. Those were my embryos. She had no right. I felt the room spinning. Does she know you know? Not yet. My lawyer is filing papers tomorrow. We're seeking emergency intervention, either shared custody or... He hesitated. Or what? Or termination of the pregnancy, given the fraudulent conception. The words hung heavy in the air. Mia was furiously taking notes. There's more, Clay continued. That new boyfriend of hers, Brody, he's got warrants in 3 states for financial fraud, specifically targeting pregnant women. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Amelia's in the hospital. Stress-induced complications. I hope you're happy. I showed it to Clay. Classic Amelia, he sighed. When backed into a corner, she always finds a way to be the victim. She used me, I whispered. Just like she used you. Like she's probably letting Brody use her now. The money you gave her, Clay leaned forward. How much exactly? I told him. He nodded grimly. Add your claim to my lawsuit. We can prove pattern of behavior. Financial exploitation, emotional manipulation. My phone buzzed again. Joanna, Amelia's baby is in distress because of you. They're monitoring her overnight. Don't respond, Mia advised. Let her dig her hole deeper. Clay pulled out one final document. There's something else you should know. The timing of when she used our embryos, it overlaps with when Brody moved in. Meaning she's letting him believe he's the father. He's been posting about his baby online. That's fraud too. Just then, my phone lit up with a call from Amelia herself. I put it on speaker. The hospital wants my complete medical history, she said, her voice small, including how the baby was conceived. Interesting timing, I replied coldly. Yolanda, please, I can explain everything. To me? I cut in. Or to Clay? Silence. Then, what? He's sitting right here, Amelia, with proof you stole his embryos, forged his signature, committed fraud. The sound of something dropping. Muffled voices in the background. You don't understand, she whispered. I needed. Save it for the judge, Clay said loudly enough for her to hear. She hung up. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. Amelia had gone live on Instagram from her hospital bed, crying about being attacked during her high-risk pregnancy. Let her perform, Mia said, gathering the documents. The truth is going to hit harder than any social media sympathy campaign. As we left the coffee shop, Clay touched my arm. I'm sorry, he said. I should have warned you about her years ago, about what she's capable of. I thought about all the money, the lies, the manipulation. No, I replied. She needed to show me herself. And now everyone else will see it too. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Brody to Clay, accidentally sent to me instead. Back off or the baby disappears. Your choice. Clay smiled grimly when I showed him. And there's our final piece of evidence. The game was changing. Amelia's house of cards was about to collapse, and I had a front row seat to watch it fall. The hospital waiting room felt like a battlefield. Mom and Dad sat huddled in one corner, while Brody paced aggressively near the vending machines. Clay and I occupied the opposite side, with Mia standing guard like a sentinel. She's asking for you, Dad said quietly, looking at me. The doctor said her blood pressure won't stabilize until she calms down. Convenient, I muttered. Brody stopped pacing. Listen, you need to drop this lawsuit nonsense. Look what it's doing to her. Funny, Clay spoke up. I didn't know you were so invested in a baby that isn't yours. The color drained from Brody's face. What did you say? You heard me. Those were my embryos, stolen and implanted without consent. Want to explain to everyone why you've been posting about your baby on social media? Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Amelia told us Brody was the father. Amelia tells a lot of things, I said, pulling out my phone. Like how she told her Instagram followers that Brody's the CEO of a tech startup. Want to tell them about those fraud warrants instead? Brody lunged forward, but Clay was faster, stepping between us. Touch her, Clay warned, and assault charges will be the least of your problems. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Family of Amelia? We all turned. She's stabilized, but she's requesting her sister. Only her sister. I looked at Mia, who nodded and hit record on her phone. Amelia lay in the hospital bed, monitors beeping steadily around her. Her makeup was perfectly smeared, the same technique she'd used since high school to look tragically beautiful while crying. Come to finish destroying my life? She asked weakly. No, you're doing a pretty good job of that yourself. She flinched. I'm your sister. Exactly. Which made your betrayal even worse. I didn't betray you. She trailed off, looking away. I needed space. Space? I laughed. You needed space so badly you had to lie to our entire family? Turn them against me? Block me everywhere? You don't understand what it's like, she burst out. Everyone watching, judging, expecting this perfect pregnancy story. So you created one, with my money and Clay's embryos? Her eyes widened. He told you? He showed me everything. The forged documents, the theft from his parents, the threats. The monitors started beeping faster. I had no choice, she whispered. The treatments weren't working. Clay wanted to stop, but I saw those embryos just sitting there. You had every choice. You chose to steal, to lie, to manipulate everyone around you. And what about Brody? I continued. How long before he empties your accounts and disappears? She grabbed my arm. Don't tell him about the embryos. Please. He thinks he's the father. Like you let Clay's parents think they were going to be grandparents while you stole their retirement? Tears rolled down her cheeks. I'll pay you back. I promise. Just drop everything. Please. It's too late. Clay's lawyers are already moving forward, and I'm joining the lawsuit. The door opened. Brody walked in, followed closely by Clay. Baby! Brody rushed to her side. Are you okay? Is our little miracle... Your miracle? Clay interrupted. Want to explain how that works with my embryos? Brody froze. Amelia's monitor started beeping frantically. Everyone out! A nurse rushed in. Her blood pressure is spiking. In the hallway, Brody grabbed his jacket. I need some air. Running already? I called after him. Before or after you clean out her bank accounts? He practically sprinted to the elevator. Mom appeared looking shell-shocked. The doctors want to keep her overnight. For observation. Good, Clay said. She can get served with the papers first thing tomorrow. Please, Mom begged. She's still carrying a baby. Your baby. A baby she stole, he corrected. After stealing from my family? Dad joined us, looking older than I'd ever seen him. How did we not see this coming? Because you never wanted to see it, I answered. You always believed her stories, her excuses, her lies. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia. Private investigator confirmed it. Brody's cleaned out 3 of Amelia's accounts already. I showed it to my parents. Mom sank into a chair. What have we done? What has she done? She's done exactly what she's always done, I said quietly. Used people until they had nothing left to give. Only this time, she's not getting away with it. Through the hospital room window, I could see Amelia crying into her hands. For the first time in my life, I felt nothing. No guilt, no sympathy, no obligation to fix her mess. She'd made her choices. Now she had to live with them. The baby shower invitation arrived 3 weeks after the hospital incident. Pink and gold with flowing script. Join us in celebrating Amelia's miracle. I stared at it for a full minute before bursting into laughter. She can't be serious, Mia said, reading over my shoulder. After everything? My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Please come. She wants to make things right. Before I could respond, another invitation arrived, this time by email. A disinvitation. Due to the high-risk nature of my pregnancy and recent stress-induced complications, I must limit attendance to positive, supporting individuals only. I forwarded it to Clay's lawyer. The shower was scheduled for Saturday at the country club. I didn't plan to go, but I did send a gift, a beautifully wrapped frame containing copies of every loan document, with a note. Since you're celebrating miracles, here's how this one happened. That morning, my Reddit post mysteriously resurfaced, gaining traction again. Someone had connected it to Amelia's mommy blog and her perfectly curated Instagram pregnancy journey. The internet did what it does best. It dug. Your sister's trending, Mia announced, scrolling through her phone. People found her old posts about Brody being the father. They're comparing dates with Clay's lawsuit details. My phone lit up with a call from Joanna. How dare you, she screeched. Only 8 people showed up. 8! She spent thousands on this shower. With whose money? I asked calmly. Brody's already drained 3 of her accounts. Did she use the 4th for the party? Silence. Did she tell you he's gone? Disappeared last week with everything he could get his hands on? She said he's on a business trip, I laughed. Check his warrant records. I'm sure he is. The sponsors pulled out, Joanna continued, her voice smaller. All of them. Her mommy blog partnership deals. Truth hurts, doesn't it? She opened your gift, Joanna said suddenly, in front of everyone. When she saw what it was, Yolanda, she fainted. Real faint or Amelia faint? Don't be cruel. She's carrying your niece. No, I corrected. She's carrying Clay's stolen child, and karma's finally catching up. I hung up as another text came through. From Clay. She's trying to leave the state. My lawyer caught her booking flights to Mexico. My hands shook as I forwarded this to Mia. That's not happening, Mia replied immediately. I'm filing an emergency motion right now. Within hours, Amelia's passport was flagged. She couldn't leave the country with Clay's baby. Their baby, conceived through fraud. By evening, the shower drama had exploded online. Someone had posted photos of the nearly empty party room, expensive decorations mocking the absence of guests. Amelia's carefully constructed social media facade was crumbling. Mom called, sobbing. She's destroying herself, she cried. Please, can't you stop this? Stop what? The consequences of her actions? She's your sister. She stopped being my sister the moment she decided to use me, steal from Clay, and lie to everyone. Where was this concern when she was spreading lies about me? We didn't know, because you never wanted to know. You never questioned her stories, her excuses, her manipulations. Well, now everyone knows, and she did that to herself. Later that night, Amelia herself called. I almost didn't answer. The frame was a nice touch, she said, her voice hollow. Really classy. About as classy as stealing embryos and faking paternity. I had to protect my miracle. Stop calling it that, I snapped. It's not a miracle. It's fraud, theft, manipulation. And now everyone knows. She started crying. What do you want from me? Nothing. Not anymore. I just want you to face what you've done. All of it. I'm your sister, she whispered. No, I replied. You're just someone who used to be my sister. Someone who took everything I had and threw me away. Someone who's finally facing consequences. I'll pay you back, she offered desperately. Once the baby what? Once you figure out how to explain why Brody vanished with your money? Once you deal with Clay's custody suit? Once you explain to your followers why you lied about everything? Silence. Goodbye, Amelia. As I hung up, a notification popped up. Someone had leaked the court documents from Clay's lawsuit. The full story was out now, spreading across social media like wildfire. Amelia's carefully constructed house of cards wasn't just falling. It had burned to the ground, and I felt nothing but relief watching the ashes scatter. The delivery room notification came through Mia, not family. As Clay's lawyer, she'd been alerted when Amelia checked into the hospital. I sat in my office, staring at the message, feeling nothing but a strange sense of completion. My phone lit up. "Mom, she's asking for you," she said without preamble. "The doctors are concerned about complications. Please, Yolanda." "No, but my presence won't help her blood pressure this time." I ended the call and turned back to my work. The settlement papers from Clay's lawsuit sat on my desk, finally signed after Amelia's attempts to flee failed. My portion of the judgment would be paid through the sale of her car and designer collection. My phone buzzed again. Clay. "I'm at the hospital," he said. "My lawyer's here too. We need to establish paternity immediately." "How is she?" "Struggling." "But you know Amelia. Even in labor, she's trying to control the narrative. Keeps talking about her single mom journey to the nurses." I almost laughed. Did she mention the part where she stole the baby she's delivering? That's coming out today. Once paternity is confirmed, we go public with everything. Another call beeped through. "Joanna." "Don't you dare ignore this," she hissed when I answered. "Your sister is in distress. After everything you've done." "After everything I've done," I cut her off. "Let's talk about everything she did. Want to start with the theft, the fraud, or how about you? How many lies did you help spread?" Silence. That's what I thought. Back at my desk, I opened my laptop and clicked the folder labeled Receipts. Every document, every text, every piece of evidence we'd gathered. I'd been saving them for this moment. My phone lit up with a text from Dad. "Baby girl born, healthy, please come." I didn't respond. Instead, I hit publish on the blog post I'd prepared weeks ago. The True Cost of a Miracle, a story of theft, fraud, and family. Every detail, every document, every betrayal, laid bare for the world to see. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications. "You heartless witch," Joanna texted. "She just gave birth." "Perfect timing," Mia replied when I forwarded her the message. "She can't run now." I gathered my things and left the office, not heading to the hospital, but to my favorite coffee shop, the one where Clay had revealed the truth about the embryos, where everything had started to unravel. The barista had just handed me my drink when Mom called again. "Clay's lawyers are here," she said, her voice shaking. "They're demanding immediate DNA testing. And they found out about Brody. He's been arrested in Florida. Something about investment fraud." "Karma," I said simply. "The baby, she looks just like Clay. Amelia's hysterical. The doctors had to sedate her." I sipped my coffee. Not my problem anymore. "When did you become so cold? When did you become so blind?" I countered. "She stole a baby, Mom. Through fraud. After stealing my money and Clay's parents' retirement. This isn't about being cold. This is about justice." My phone pinged a news alert. Local stations were picking up the story. "Fertility fraud scandal rocks local family." Perfect. Dad tried next. "She named the baby after you, middle name." "Another manipulation," I replied. "Tell her to enjoy it while she can. Clay's filing for full custody." The texts and calls kept coming. Family members choosing sides, friends expressing shock, strangers offering support. Through it all, I sat in that coffee shop, watching my sister's carefully constructed world collapse through the screen of my phone. Finally, one last message came through. From Amelia herself, likely through Mom's phone. "I'm sorry for everything. Please come meet your niece." I typed back, "She's not my niece. She's Clay's daughter, a child you stole. And now everyone knows it." I blocked the number and closed my laptop. Outside, The sun was setting on what felt like the final chapter of a very long story. My phone buzzed one last time. Mia. DNA results confirmed. Clay's filing emergency custody papers now. It's over. And it was. Not with a dramatic confrontation or tearful reconciliation, but with truth, justice, consequences. I walked out of the coffee shop into the cool evening air, feeling lighter than I had in months. Some people say blood is thicker than water, but justice? Justice is thicker than both. And sometimes the happiest endings aren't about forgiveness. They're about freedom.
The day my parents called begging for my life savings, I should have known it was a trap. But even at 32, some part of me was still that desperate little girl, hoping that maybe this time they'd finally see me. I'm Daphne, and this is the story of how I lost everything, and then made sure my family lost even more. The call came on a Tuesday evening while I was editing manuscripts, my usual freelance work. Mum's voice cracked with tears, something I'd rarely heard in my life. "Daphne, please, we need your help. We're about to lose the house." I sat up straighter, my fingers hovering over my keyboard. "What happened?" "The bank," Dad's voice now shaking. "We've fallen behind on payments. They're threatening foreclosure. We need $60,000 by next week, or we lose everything." The amount hit me like a punch to the gut. That was almost everything I'd saved over the past decade. Every extra editing job, every skipped vacation, every cheap apartment I'd lived in, all of it added up to just over that amount. "I know it's a lot," Mom whispered, "but we'll put you on the deed. The house will be partly yours. Please, sweetheart, we have nowhere else to turn." My sister Sierra's voice echoed in the background. "Is she going to help us or not?" I closed my eyes, remembering all the times Sierra got new cars while I took the bus. All the times they paid her rent while I worked 2 jobs. All the times they forgot my birthday but threw elaborate parties for her. "I need to think about it," I said. "We don't have time." Mom's voice rose sharply. "The bank, I'll call you back in an hour." I hung up and immediately called Emmett, my ex-boyfriend turned friend who happened to be a lawyer. "I need your help," I said when he answered, "and I need you to be brutally honest with me." 20 minutes later, we sat in his office, him in his wrinkled suit, me still in my work-from-home sweats. "You want my professional opinion?" he asked, leaning back in his chair. "Don't do it, but you're going to anyway, aren't you?" I nodded. "Then let's protect you." He pulled out a legal pad. "We're drawing up a loan agreement. Interest rates, repayment terms, consequences for default, everything." "They won't sign it," I said. "Then you don't give them the money." He started writing. Simple as that. 2 hours later, I stood in my parents' living room, document in hand. The house smelled like Mom's stress baking, cinnamon and desperation. Sierra lounged on the couch, scrolling through her phone, like this was just another family gathering. "What's this?" Mom asked, frowning at the papers. "Loan agreement. Standard stuff. You put me on the deed, I give you the money, you repay me within 2 years. Dad's face darkened. "You don't trust us. Would you trust someone asking for $60,000 without paperwork?" Sierra finally looked up. "Wow, Daphne, real nice. They're our parents. Then they shouldn't have a problem signing." Mom's hands shook as she read the first page. "This seems excessive." "It's standard," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Ask any lawyer." "We don't have time to consult lawyers," Dad snapped. "The bank..." "Then sign." I held out a pen. "Or I walk out that door and you can figure something else out." They signed, both of them right there on my carefully crafted loan agreement. They didn't even read past the first page, too desperate for the money, too certain they could handle their quiet, reliable daughter later. I transferred the money that night. All of it. Everything I'd worked for, gone in a single transaction. Mum hugged me, crying about how I'd saved them all. Sierra rolled her eyes and went back to her phone. Dad promised they'd start the deed transfer immediately. Later that night, as I drove home, my hands shook so badly I had to pull over. I called Audrey, my best friend since college. "I did something either really stupid or really smart," I said when she answered. "Tell me you didn't give them the money." "I did, but I got something better." I looked at the signed agreement in my passenger seat. I got proof. Proof of what? That they're going to try to screw me over. I started my car again, suddenly calmer, and when they do, I'll be ready. I was still stupid, but not as stupid as they thought I was, and soon they'd learn exactly how much that mistake would cost them. 3 weeks passed before I decided to make a surprise visit. I'd been calling daily about the deed transfer, but Mum always had an excuse. The lawyer was busy, the paperwork was complicated, they needed more time. That Sunday afternoon I drove to their house, determined to get answers. I parked a block away, a habit from my teenage years when I'd sneak out. The kitchen door had always been my secret entrance, and muscle memory guided me around the side of the house. But voices stopped me before I could knock. "I can't believe she fell for it." Sierra's laugh sharp and clear through the window. $60,000, just like that. My hand froze midair. "Well, she always was the responsible one." Mum's voice now tinged with amusement. "Our little emergency fund. The best part is," Dad chuckled, "she thinks we're putting her on the deed, as if we hadn't already transferred it to Sierra last month." The world tilted sideways. I pressed my back against the wall, struggling to breathe. "But what about her loan agreement?" Sierra asked. "Shouldn't we be worried?" "Please." Mom's eye roll was audible. "It's Daphne. She'd never take us to court. She's too desperate for our approval. Besides," Dad added, "we can always claim it was a gift. She's been giving us money her whole life. No judge would side with her." My fingers found the loan agreement in my purse. I always carried it with me, paranoid about them somehow destroying their copy. Now I knew why. "I still think we should be careful," Sierra said. "She's not as stupid as she looks. Sweetheart, I've been managing your sister's expectations her entire life. Trust me, she'll roll over like she always does. Now, about that down payment for your new condo." I didn't stay to hear more. My legs carried me back to my car on autopilot, my mind eerily quiet. I sat there for a long time staring at nothing, letting their words sink in. Emergency fund, rollover, gift. My phone buzzed. Audrey calling. I answered without thinking. "Hey, I'm at that new cafe we talked about. Want to join?" "They planned it," I heard myself say. "The whole thing, they transferred the deed to Sierra before they even asked me for money." Silence, then, "Don't move, I'm coming to you." "Where are you?" "Outside their house." "Jesus, Daphne, drive to my place, now." 20 minutes later, I sat on Audrey's couch, clutching a coffee she'd shoved into my hands. She paced in front of me, her therapist mode fully activated. "We need to call Emmett," she said. "No." I pulled out the loan agreement. "Not yet." "Daphne, they stole from you. I know exactly what they did." My voice was steady now, cold. "They thought they were so clever, getting me to empty my savings. They thought I was still that desperate little girl who'd do anything for a scrap of love." Audrey stopped pacing. "What are you going to do?" I smoothed out the agreement on her coffee table. "You know what the beautiful thing about this document is? They didn't read it. They were so sure I was harmless they signed without reading." And Emmett added some interesting clauses about asset disclosure, about fraud, about what happens if they try to transfer property without notifying me. I looked up at Audrey, feeling something dark and satisfied unfurl in my chest. "They signed their own sentence and they don't even know it." "You're scaring me a little," Audrey said, but she was smiling. "Good, because I'm about to scare them a lot more." I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. "First, I'm going to transfer every penny I have left to a new account they can't access. Then I'm going to call Emmett." And then I'm going to show them exactly how stupid I'm not. I stood up, suddenly energized. They wanted to play games? Fine. But they forgot something important. What's that? I've been watching them play these games my whole life. I know all their moves. I grabbed my keys, and I've got proof of every single one. As I drove home that evening, their laughter echoed in my head. But this time it didn't hurt. This time it fueled me. "You made a mistake, Mom," I whispered to my empty car. "You signed my freedom and your sentence. The war they didn't know was coming would start tomorrow, and this time I wasn't playing by their rules." The demand letter arrived at their house exactly 1 week later. I paid extra for certified mail requiring a signature. Mum signed for it at 10:43 a.m. on a Tuesday. By 10:47, my phone was exploding. I let it ring while I finished my coffee, watching the notifications pile up. 3 calls from Mum, 2 from Dad, 5 text messages from Sierra, each one more hysterical than the last. Finally, I answered. "What is this?" Mum's voice trembled with rage. "I believe the letter is quite clear," I said, channeling Emmett's professional tone. "You have 60 days to repay the loan in full, or we proceed with legal action." "Legal action?" she sputtered. "We're your family. Yes, you made that very clear when you transferred the deed to Sierra before asking for my money." Silence. Then, "You were at the house. The kitchen door was always my favourite entrance. You taught me that, remember? All those times you locked me out." Dad's voice cut in. "Now listen here, young lady." "No, you listen." My voice could have frozen hell. "You have 60 days, every penny plus interest as outlined in the agreement you signed. Otherwise, I file suit and pursue asset forfeiture." "Asset," Mom choked. "You wouldn't dare. Try me." Sierra's voice now shrill and panicked. "You can't do this. The house is mine." Actually about that, I smiled into the phone. "You might want to check the property records again. Seems there are some interesting discrepancies in the transfer documentation." Another silence, heavier this time. "What did you do?" Mum whispered. "Me? Nothing yet, but the mortgage company might have received an anonymous tip about potential fraud. Funny how quickly they start investigating when words like forged documents come up." "You bitch," Sierra breathed. "I learnt from the best, sis." I checked my watch. 60 days, not a minute more. I hung up and immediately blocked their numbers. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. Adrenaline coursed through me, electric and alive. My phone buzzed again. "Emmett, they got the letter," he said when I answered. "How do you know?" "Because your mother just called my office screaming about ungrateful daughters and family loyalty. I recorded the whole thing." I laughed. "Of course you did. She threatened to sue me for malpractice, said I manipulated you into this. What did you say?" I reminded her that she signed a legally binding document without reading it. Then I hung up. He paused. "You know they're going to fight this." "Let them." I opened my laptop, pulling up the folder labelled Family Business. That's exactly what I'm counting on. Later that afternoon I met Audrey for lunch. She was already waiting at our usual table, 2 glasses of wine ready. "You look different," she said as I sat down. "Different how?" "Lighter, like you finally put down something heavy." I took a sip of wine. "I sent the letter. And now we wait." I pulled out my phone, showing her the blocked numbers. "They can't reach me directly anymore. Everything goes through Emmett." "They must be losing their minds." "Oh, they are," I smiled. "But here's the best part. I had Emmett send copies of the loan agreement to their country club board. You know, the one where Mom's been treasurer for 15 years. Audrey's eyes widened. "You didn't?" Along with some questions about the club's financial records. Anonymous, of course. "Daphne," she leaned forward. "That's deliciously evil." "No, that's just the beginning." I pulled up an email on my phone. Remember Summer, Mom's old friend who suddenly disappeared 10 years ago? The one they said moved to Florida. She never moved. Mum forced her out of the social circle after discovering some interesting financial irregularities at their charity foundation. I showed her the email. Summer's been waiting years to tell her story. Holy shit. Mom always said image was everything. I put my phone away. Let's see how she likes watching hers crumble. Audrey studied me over her wine glass. You're really doing this. They thought I was weak because I was quiet, because I watched and waited and kept my mouth shut. I met her eyes. But I saw everything. And now they're going to see exactly what I learned. My phone buzzed with a text from Emmett. Your sister's boyfriend just called. Says he has information you need to hear. I showed Audrey the message. Think it's a trap? She asked. Probably. I finished my wine. But I'm done running from their traps. This time I'm setting them. The game was changing, and for once I held all the cards. I met Heath at a coffee shop downtown far from my parents' usual haunts. He was already there when I arrived, fidgeting with his designer watch, the one Sierra had bragged about buying him last Christmas. With my money, apparently. Thanks for meeting me, he said as I sat down. Make it quick. I kept my coat on. I have a meeting in 30 minutes. Look, Sierra doesn't know I'm here. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. Your parents, they're not who you think they are. Actually, they're exactly who I think they are. No, you don't understand. He glanced around nervously. The house isn't the first time they've done something like this. That got my attention. Go on. Your mum's been running this scheme for years. She finds wealthy friends, gains their trust, becomes treasurer of their organizations, and then... He made a vanishing gesture with his hands. Like Summer. His eyes widened. You know about Summer? I know enough. I pulled out my phone and hit record. Why don't you tell me more? An hour later, I sat in Emmett's office playing back Heath's confession. Emmett's expression grew darker with each revelation. So your mother's been embezzling from multiple organizations, he said when the recording finished. And your father's been helping cover it up through his accounting firm. While Sierra plays the perfect daughter, distracting everyone with her charity work and social connections. I laughed bitterly. The perfect front. This is bigger than the loan now. Emmett started typing on his computer. We're talking serious fraud charges. Can we prove it? With Summer's testimony and Heath's information, he nodded. We can start pulling threads. These things leave paper trails. My phone buzzed. A text from Summer. Just got served with a cease and desist letter from your mother's lawyer. She's trying to shut me up. I showed Emmett the message. She's scared, he said. Good. Scared people make mistakes. That evening I drove past my parents' house. The country club's annual garden party was in full swing, their last-ditch attempt at maintaining appearances. Through the front windows I could see Mom holding court in her favourite blue dress, laughing with her society friends. But something was off. The crowd was thinner than usual. People were checking their phones, whispering in corners. The Foundation's financial records had started circulating that morning, courtesy of an anonymous email blast. My phone rang. An unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Is this Daphne? A woman's voice, vaguely familiar. Who's asking? Margaret, from the garden committee. She lowered her voice. I saw the numbers, the missing funds from the Children's Hospital fundraiser. I think I know where they went. By midnight, I had 3 more calls like that. Former friends, business associates, people Mom had stepped on during her climb to social prominence. They all had stories. They all had proof. Audrey came over with wine and takeout, listening as I pieced it all together. Your mother's like a black widow, she said, spinning this web of lies and stealing from everyone who trusts her. And Sierra's following in her footsteps. I showed her the latest email, bank statements showing suspicious transfers from the youth centre where Sierra volunteered. The golden child learned well. What are you going to do with all this? Everything goes to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. I closed my laptop, but first I want them to feel what's coming. The next morning, Mum's social media exploded with unfollows and angry comments. The country club board called an emergency meeting. Dad's biggest accounting clients started quietly taking their business elsewhere. Sierra called Emmett's office in tears. "Tell her to stop," she begged. "Tell her we'll pay back the money." "It's too late for that," he replied. "The truth doesn't stop just because you're ready to confess." That afternoon, Summer called me. "Your mother just tried to bribe me," she said. "Offered me double what she stole if I'll retract my statement." "What did you say?" "I told her this isn't the first time they've stolen from you." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" "Oh, honey," Summer's voice softened. "There's something you need to know about your college fund. The one that mysteriously disappeared right before your freshman year." I gripped the phone tighter. "Tell me everything." The truth was worse than I imagined. But it was just the beginning. The house of cards was starting to fall, and my family was about to learn that karma has perfect aim. Sierra ambushed me outside my apartment on a rainy Thursday morning. She looked terrible, designer clothes wrinkled, makeup smeared, nothing like her usual perfect self. "We need to talk," she said, blocking my path to my car. "Everything goes through Emmett. Please." Her voice cracked. "Mom and Dad, they're not well. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. Mom can barely sleep. Guilty consciences will do that. They're our parents." She grabbed my arm. "How can you be so cold?" I yanked free. "Funny how family matters now that you're all facing consequences. I know we hurt you." "Hurt me?" I laughed. "You stole my college fund, made me work 3 jobs while you got a free ride. Then you helped them steal my savings and tried to forge my signature on property documents." She paled. "How did you—" "Heath talks a lot when he's scared." I stepped closer. "Tell me, did you forge the signature yourself or did Mom do it for you?" "It's not what you think." "Really? Because I think you're only here because the walls are closing in. The country club's auditing their books. Dad's clients are leaving. Your precious reputation is in tatters." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "They'll lose everything." "They already lost me. They just never cared enough to notice." My phone buzzed. Emmett calling. Sierra grabbed my wrist as I reached for it. "Wait, what if I could prove they're sorry? What if they agreed to pay everything back?" I studied her face, the desperation, the calculation behind the tears. Same old Sierra, always working an angle. "Show me your phone," I said suddenly. "What?" "Your phone. Show me." She hesitated, then handed it over. I opened her recording app and found exactly what I expected, an active recording. "Still Mom's perfect little spy, aren't you?" I stopped the recording and emailed it to myself. "Thanks for the evidence of attempted manipulation. Emmett will love this." "You bitch!" Her mask finally cracked. "You think you're so smart, but you have no idea what's coming. Is that a threat?" "It's a promise." She stepped back, suddenly composed. "You want to play hardball? Fine, but remember, I learned from the best." She stormed off to her Mercedes, leaving me shaking with adrenaline. I called Emmett immediately. "Sierra just tried to set me up," I said when he answered. Recording the conversation, probably hoping I'd incriminate myself. "Perfect timing," he replied. "I was just about to call you. We found something interesting in the property records." "What?" "The signature they forged. It wasn't just on the deed transfer. There are multiple documents with your fake signature, going back years." My stomach dropped. "How many?" "At least a dozen. Loan applications, tax documents, even some insurance policies. They've been forging my signature for years. Looks like it. And guess who notarized most of these documents?" "Heath," I whispered. "Bingo. He's agreed to testify in exchange for immunity." I leaned against my car, letting the rain soak through my jacket. "What else did he say?" "That's the interesting part. He claims Sierra has a safety deposit box at First National, one she visits every time there's a major document signing. You think that's where they keep the forgeries? Only one way to find out? He paused. But we need to move fast. Sierra's getting sloppy, which means she's desperate. That afternoon, I met Audrey for lunch. She listened as I recounted everything. You know what's weird? She said when I finished. Through all of this, they're still more worried about their reputation than actually fixing things. That's because they don't think they did anything wrong. I stirred my untouched coffee. In their minds, they were entitled to my money, to my signature, to my life. And now they're about to learn about real consequences. I showed her the email from Emmett, a court order for Sierra's safety deposit box. The hearing's tomorrow. Are you ready? For the truth? No. I looked out the window at the rain. For justice? Absolutely. My phone buzzed with a text from Heath. Sierra's at the bank right now. She knows you're coming for the box. I forwarded it to Emmett, who replied immediately. Already called the bank. Box is frozen. Nothing goes in or out. Checkmate, I whispered. What? Audrey asked. They're running out of moves. I grabbed my keys. And I'm done playing defense. Tomorrow, that safety deposit box would tell its secrets, and my family would learn that their perfect plan had one fatal flaw. They underestimated the daughter they never wanted. The courthouse hallway felt like a battlefield. My parents and Sierra huddled with their lawyer on one side, while Emmett and I stood on the other. Heath sat alone in the middle, looking like he might throw up. Last chance, Mum's lawyer called across the hall. We can settle this privately. Not anymore, Emmett replied, holding up the court order for the safety deposit box. Sierra's face went white. She grabbed her lawyer's arm, whispering frantically. Mum's perfect posture crumbled slightly. The bailiff called us in. As we filed past Heath, Sierra hissed, "Traitor!" He flinched, but said nothing. Judge Martinez didn't waste time on pleasantries. We're here regarding evidence of document forgery and financial fraud. The contents of safety deposit box 247 have been secured. Yes, Your Honour, the bank representative confirmed. The box was sealed yesterday afternoon, shortly after Ms. Sierra attempted to access it. Attempted? The judge raised an eyebrow. She became agitated when denied access. Security had to escort her out. Sierra sank lower in her seat. Mum's fingers dug into Dad's arm. Proceed with the opening, Judge Martinez ordered. The bank representative placed the box on the evidence table. My heart pounded as she turned the key. Inside lay dozens of documents neatly organised. The bank representative handed them to the court clerk, who began reading loan applications dating from 2015 to present, tax documents, property transfers, all bearing the signature of Daphne. Objection! Sierra's lawyer jumped up. These documents are private family matters. Which were subpoenaed legally, Emmett interrupted, and we have an expert witness ready to testify about the forgeries. Heath stood up shakily. Sierra's face twisted with rage. You lying piece of... Ms. Sierra! Judge Martinez banged her gavel. Control yourself or be removed. Heath approached the witness stand. Under oath, he detailed everything. Sierra's practice sessions perfecting my signature, Mom's careful coaching, Dad's strategic notarizing. And these, Emmett held up a stack of papers. Templates, Heath said quietly. They used them whenever they needed Daphne's signature on something new. Mom finally broke. We did it for the family. Everything was for the family. Mrs. Regina, the judge warned. She was always so difficult about money, Mom continued, hysteria creeping into her voice. Always questioning, always refusing to help. We had to commit fraud. I stood up. Had to steal my identity, my college fund, my savings. You ungrateful... Sierra lunged forward, but her lawyer grabbed her. Your Honour, Emmett said calmly, we move to freeze all assets pending criminal investigation. The evidence suggests this fraud extends well beyond my client. No! Mom's scream echoed through the courtroom. You can't! The house that was fraudulently transferred. Emmett produced more documents. We have proof the deed transfer used a forged signature, making it null and void. Sierra started crying. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years. Mom just kept shaking her head, whispering, "No, no, no." The judge reviewed the evidence, her expression growing darker with each page. "I've seen enough," she finally said. "Assets frozen pending investigation. The property transfer is invalidated and—" She looked directly at my family. "I'm referring this case to the district attorney for criminal charges." "Criminal?" Dad whispered. "Identity theft, fraud, financial exploitation, multiple counts." The judge closed her folder. "I strongly suggest you all get criminal defense attorneys." As we left the courtroom, Sierra screamed after me, "You've ruined everything." I turned back slowly. "No, you did that yourselves. Every lie, every theft, every time you chose greed over love." I met Mom's eyes. I just exposed it. Outside, Heath caught up to me. "There's something else you should know." "What now? The reason they needed your college fund?" He glanced around nervously. "Sierra was in trouble, big trouble, the kind that needed expensive lawyers to make disappear." "What kind of trouble?" "Ask your mum about the hospital records from 2015, the ones she paid to have sealed." He handed me a folded paper. "This is the case number." I watched him walk away, that final piece of information burning in my hand. Emmett appeared beside me. "Want me to look into it?" he asked. "Not yet." I tucked the paper away. "First, I want them to sit with this, to feel what's coming. They won't go down quietly." "I know." I looked back at the courthouse where my family huddled with their lawyers. "But for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of their noise." That night I sat in my apartment staring at the case number Heath had given me. One more secret, one more lie. Tomorrow I'd start digging. But tonight I let myself feel the weight of victory and the price of justice. The war wasn't over, but I'd just won the biggest battle. The hospital records arrived on a Tuesday morning. Emmett handed me the manila envelope with an uncharacteristic hesitation. "Are you sure you want to read these?" I took the envelope. "How bad is it?" "Bad enough that your mother paid $500,000 to make it disappear." He sat down heavily. "Money that apparently came from your college fund." Inside were police reports, medical records, and witness statements. As I read, the world tilted sideways. Sierra had been driving drunk. There'd been an accident, a family of 4. "They died," my voice cracked. "The parents survived, the children didn't." Emmett's voice was gentle. "Your parents used their connections to bury it. Changed records, paid off officials. Sierra walked away without a scratch, legally and literally. My college fund, my future, sacrificed to cover up my sister's crimes. Does she even remember?" I whispered. "According to Heath, she jokes about it at parties, calls it her lucky escape." The rage that filled me was arctic cold. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I'd been saving. "Detective Roberts, I have information about a cold case from 2015. Everything moved quickly after that. By evening, police cars lined our family street. I watched from my car as they led Sierra out in handcuffs, Mom screaming on the front lawn, Dad silent and grey-faced. My phone buzzed. "Audrey." "It's all over the news," she said when I answered. "How are you holding up?" "I'm at the house, watching." "Want company?" "No, but thanks." I watched as Mom collapsed dramatically onto the grass. "I need to do something first." I waited until the police cars left, then walked up to the front door. Mom saw me through the window and yanked it open. "How could you?" she shrieked. "Your own sister!" "How could I?" I stepped past her into the house. "2 children died, Mom, and you covered it up. We had to protect her." With my money, my future. I turned to face her. Did you ever even hesitate? Of course we did, Dad spoke up from his armchair. But Sierra, she's special. She needed consequences, I cut in. She needed to face what she'd done. Instead, you taught her that money solves everything. That lives don't matter as long as you can pay to make problems disappear. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Sierra at a party, laughing about her lucky escape. Mum's face crumpled. Where did you get that? Heath recorded everything. Every joke, every casual mention of the accident. He's been collecting evidence for years, waiting for someone to finally hold her accountable. We'll fix this, Mum said desperately. We'll hire lawyers. No. I walked to the family photos on the wall, dozens of Sierra, barely any of me. You can't fix this with money anymore. The DA has everything. The original accident reports, the falsified records, the bribes. It's over. What do you want? Dad asked quietly. I want you to sit in this empty house and think about every choice you made, every time you chose Sierra over justice, every time you used my money to cover her crimes. I turned to leave. The house is mine now, legally. You have 48 hours to move out. You're evicting us? Mum's voice rose to a shriek. After everything we've done for you? I laughed, a cold, hard sound. Everything you've done for me. You stole my future to cover up your precious daughter's murders. You forged my signature and stole my savings. You've done nothing for me except teach me exactly who you are. We're your parents. No. I opened the front door. You're just people who had a daughter they never wanted and another they never controlled. And now you get to live with those choices. Outside, reporters had gathered. Cameras flashed as I walked to my car. Mum ran out after me. All I wanted was your honesty, I told her, loud enough for the cameras to hear. You cashed that in for Sierra's comfort. Now you get to watch it all burn. Later that night I sat in Emmett's office watching the news coverage. Sierra's mugshot, the accident details. My parents' role in the cover-up. The DA wants to make a deal, Emmett said. They'll reduce Sierra's charges if she testifies against your parents about the cover-up. Let me guess, she's already agreed? Faster than you can say self-preservation. He smiled grimly. The golden child's crown is tarnished. I nodded, feeling strangely empty. What now? Now? He handed me the house keys. Now you decide what justice looks like. I took the keys, their weight, familiar yet different. Like everything else, they felt like both an ending and a beginning. But something still nagged at me. One last secret, waiting in that house. I just didn't know how much more truth I could handle. The house felt different, empty. My footsteps echoed through bare rooms as I walked upstairs, past the blank spaces where family photos once hung. Mum and Dad had moved out yesterday, leaving behind only what they couldn't carry. In their bedroom I found Mom's old vanity, too heavy to move quickly. The drawers were empty except for one stuck at the back. I yanked it open and found a leather-bound journal. My phone rang. Audrey. Have you seen the news? She asked when I answered. Sierra took the deal. She's testifying tomorrow. Let me guess, she's throwing our parents under the bus. Completely. She's claiming they forced her to keep quiet about the accident, playing victim. I opened the journal, Mom's familiar handwriting filling the pages. Hold on, I need to call you back. The first entry was dated the day I was born. As I read, my hands began to shake. I can't love her like I should, Mum had written. She's not Talon's. Every time I look at her, I see my mistake, my shame. But Talon agreed to raise her as his own, to never tell her the truth. We'll have our own child soon, a real family. The journal fell from my numb fingers. Suddenly everything made sense. The constant rejection, the favoritism, the way Dad could never quite meet my eyes. I drove to the detention centre where they were holding Mom. She looked small in the orange jumpsuit, her carefully maintained image stripped away. I found your journal, I said through the visiting room glass. She closed her eyes. So now you know. Who is he? My real father? Does it matter? It mattered enough for you to punish me my entire life for it. She leaned forward. I gave you a good life. You gave me trauma. I pressed my hand against the glass. Every time you chose Sierra, every time you stole from me, every time you made me feel worthless, it was all because I reminded you of your guilt. I tried to love you. No, you tried to erase me. I stood up. But you failed, because I'm stronger than your shame. Outside, I called Emmett. I'm selling the house, I said when he answered. Are you sure? You fought hard for it. It's not a victory if I keep it. It's just another chain. I watched the sunset paint the sky purple. I want to be free. That night I sat with Audrey on my balcony, sharing wine and truth. So, what now? She asked. Now I write my own story. I showed her the real estate listings I'd been browsing, small houses with garden space far from my family's shadow. Something that's just mine. And your parents, Sierra. Sierra will serve time for vehicular manslaughter. Less than she deserves, but more than she expected. I sipped my wine. Mom and Dad are facing fraud charges. Their reputation is destroyed. Their friends have abandoned them. And that's enough? No, but it's justice. I smiled slightly. Besides, living well is the best revenge. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. The first contact since the arrest. I should have been better, it read. Not because you weren't mine by blood, but because you were mine by choice. I failed you, I'm sorry. I showed Audrey the message. Are you going to respond? She asked. No. I deleted it. Some bridges need to stay burned. The next morning I met with a real estate agent at the house. As she talked about market values and staging, I walked through the rooms one last time. In my old bedroom I found a small heart carved into the window frame. My secret mark from childhood. I traced it with my finger, remembering the girl who dreamed of being loved. I'm sorry, I whispered to her, but I love you now, and that's enough. The agent called me downstairs. As I walked through the front door, I didn't look back. The house that held so many painful memories would soon belong to someone else. Let them fill it with better stories. My phone rang. Emmett again. The DA has one last question, he said. Do you want to make a victim impact statement at the sentencing? I watched a moving truck pull up to the house, ready to clear out the last pieces of my old life. No, I said. I've said everything I need to say. Let the silence speak for itself. I hung up and got in my car. In the rearview mirror, the house grew smaller until it disappeared completely. Ahead, the road stretched open and empty. Not an ending, but a beginning. Some people say revenge doesn't bring peace. They're wrong. It brought me something better. It brought me home to myself.
I should have known something was wrong when my sister showed up to my daughter's first birthday party wearing white. Not just any white, a flowing, ethereal dress that looked suspiciously like something you'd wear to announce a pregnancy. I just didn't expect her to actually do it right as I was about to help Lily blow out her candle. My name is Ruby, and I've spent 32 years being the responsible one. The good daughter, the one who always had her act together, while my younger sister Sarah careened from crisis to crisis, leaving our parents to clean up her messes. But that day, watching her steal my baby spotlight with practiced precision, something inside me finally snapped. Everyone, I have amazing news! Sarah's voice cut through the happy birthday song like a knife through butter. My hands froze on the cake knife as 20 pairs of eyes shifted from my beautiful daughter in her pink tutu to my beaming sister. I'm pregnant! The collective gasps and squeals were immediate. My mother burst into tears, rushing to embrace Sarah, while my father stood there grinning like he'd just won the lottery. I felt Harper, my best friend, squeezed my shoulder in silent support. "Mama!" Lily's tiny voice brought me back to reality. She sat in her high chair, confused by the sudden shift in attention, her chubby fingers reaching for the rainbow sprinkle cake we'd spent hours perfecting. "Just a minute, sweetie," I managed, forcing a smile. "Looks like Aunt Sarah has some big news." "Oh my God, this is just perfect timing," my mother gushed, still clutching Sarah. "Now the cousins will be so close in age." Sarah untangled herself from our mother's embrace and floated toward me, that familiar calculating look in her eyes that always preceded asking for something. "Actually, Ruby, I've been thinking..." "Here we go. You know how Chad and I are still trying to figure out our living situation?" She gestured vaguely toward her on-again, off-again boyfriend, who was busy stuffing his face with chips in the corner. "Well, your house has that beautiful nursery you designed for Lily." I gripped the cake knife tighter. "What about it?" "Well, Lily's getting bigger now, and you have that spare room upstairs that would make such a cute big girl room for her." Sarah's voice took on that wheedling tone I knew too well. "Maybe you could let me have the nursery. You can just build another one upstairs." The room went quiet, except for Lily's soft babbling. I could feel Harper tensing beside me, ready to jump in, but I held up a hand to stop her. "Let me get this straight," I said, my voice eerily calm. "You want me to give you my nursery? The one I spent months designing and decorating for my daughter?" "Well, yeah," Sarah brightened, mistaking my tone for agreement. "It makes perfect sense. You're established. You're doing so well with your job, and I really need the help right now. Chad's between opportunities and..." "You mean he's unemployed again?" Harper muttered under her breath. "Ruby," my mother cut in, "your sister needs family support right now. You know how hard pregnancy can be, especially when you're..." She paused, glancing at Chad, dealing with various challenges. My father nodded sagely. "It would really help your sister out, Ruby, and you've always been so good at handling things." I looked around the room, at my parents' expectant faces, at Chad's disinterested slouch, at Sarah's practiced pout. Then I looked at my daughter, still waiting patiently for her cake, trusting that Mama would make everything right. Something shifted inside me. Years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who always gave in. It all crystallized into a diamond-hard resolve. I smiled, a cold smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Of course, Sarah. You can bring her things next weekend." Sarah squealed and hugged me, while our parents beamed with approval. Only Harper looked concerned, knowing me well enough to recognize the danger in my tone. "Now," I said, turning back to my daughter, "let's cut this cake, shall we?" As everyone gathered around to sing again, I caught Harper's questioning look. I gave her a slight nod, one that said, "Watch me. Just watch what happens next." Because what my dear family didn't know was that I'd finally learned something important. Sometimes being the responsible one means taking responsibility for your own happiness. And sometimes that means burning it all down. I helped Lily blow out her candle, already planning how to light a much bigger fire. "You're not seriously considering giving her the nursery, are you?" Harper set down her coffee mug with enough force to make the cafe table rattle. 3 days had passed since the birthday party disaster, and my best friend's patience was wearing thinner than mine. "Of course not," I replied, stirring my latte absently. "But you should have seen the text I got this morning. Sarah's already picking out paint colors." Harper pulled out her phone. "Show me." I handed over mine, watching her scroll through the endless stream of messages from my sister. Pictures of cribs, wallpaper samples, and nursery themes flooded the screen, interspersed with comments like, "This is exactly what I want," and "We should start moving things out this weekend." "Jesus," Harper muttered. "She really thinks she's getting your house, doesn't she?" A memory flashed through my mind. Sarah, 16, taking my prom dress without asking because she needed it more for her junior formal. Me, standing in my closet, finding the dress returned with wine stains and a torn hem. "Remember when she worked for me?" I asked, watching a young mother at the next table trying to wrangle her toddler. 3 months at my company, and she nearly cost us our biggest client because she couldn't be bothered to show up on time. And your parents said you were being too hard on her," Harper finished, "because she was going through a rough patch with what's his name?" "Dylan," I supplied. "Before Chad, after Trevor, but before Marcus." "The one you paid rent for?" "No, that was Josh. Dylan was the one I bailed out of jail after he got drunk and tried to steal a police horse." I laughed, but it came out hollow. God, I sound like a human ATM, don't I? Harper leaned forward. "Ruby, honey, you're not an ATM. You're a doormat, and I say that with love." My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. "Sarah's so excited about the nursery. We should all go shopping this weekend. Your father and I can help with the renovation costs for Lily's new room." I showed Harper the message. Her eyes narrowed. "They really think they can just redistribute your house?" "They've been redistributing my life since I was old enough to have something worth taking." The words came out sharper than I intended. When I got my first job at 16, guess who had to share her paychecks? When I got my college acceptance letters, guess who had to defer a year so Sarah could have her dream gap year in Europe? "Which she quit after 3 weeks, Harper added. "And who paid for the emergency flight home?" I raised my hand like a student answering a question. "This girl." My phone buzzed again. This time it was a real estate listing from Ivy, my agent. A beautiful 3-bedroom condo across town, newly renovated, with a view of the park. Harper peered at the screen. "What's that about?" I stood up, gathering my things. "That's my next appointment. Want to come see what karma looks like?" 20 minutes later, we stood in an empty living room flooded with natural light. Ivy, clipboard in hand, watched me run my fingers along the smooth quartz countertops in the kitchen. "The sellers are motivated," she said. "They'd consider a quick close if the offer's right." I walked to the smaller bedroom, already picturing Lily's toys scattered across the hardwood floors. It was smaller than her current nursery, but it had a window seat perfect for reading stories. "Ruby," Harper called from the master bedroom, "come look at this view." I joined her at the window, taking in the sprawling park below. No shared walls with entitled siblings, no space for family to crash indefinitely, just peace. "What about your house?" Harper asked quietly. I pulled out my phone, showing her the text I'd drafted to Ivy earlier. "List it, price it to sell fast, and don't tell anyone in my family." Ivy appeared in the doorway, her professional mask cracking slightly to reveal a smile. "Are we doing this?" I thought about Sarah's white dress at the party, about my daughter's confused face when her special day was hijacked, about 32 years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the good daughter. "It's go time," I whispered, hitting send on the text. Harper wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "You know they're going to lose their minds, right?" I watched a young couple playing with their dog in the park below, free and happy in their own space. Maybe it's time they learned what it feels like to lose something they thought they were entitled to. "Shall I draw up the paperwork?" Ivy asked. I nodded, feeling lighter than I had in years. "Make it ironclad. No family discounts this time." The nursery looked different in the harsh light of my phone's camera. Each click captured another piece of evidence, proof that this room had been lovingly created for Lily, not commandeered as a gift for Sarah. Ivy had suggested documenting everything before the sale listing went live. "And this is where the changing table used to be," I narrated quietly, panning across the mint green wall with its hand-painted butterflies, before I moved it to make room for the free sign I'm about to put on it. A soft knock at the door made me jump. "Ruby? Honey, are you home?" My mother's voice. Of course. I quickly shut off the camera and shoved my phone in my pocket. Coming! I opened the front door to find both my parents standing there, matching concerned expressions on their faces. My father held a takeout bag from my favorite Thai place, their standard peace offering. We brought lunch, my mother said, already pushing past me into the house, and we wanted to talk about Sarah's nursery. I bit back a correction. Not Sarah's nursery, never Sarah's nursery. Instead, I smiled. Perfect timing. I was just organizing things upstairs. They followed me to the kitchen, where my mother immediately began unpacking containers of pad thai and green curry. My father settled into his usual chair, the one that would be gone in less than a week. So, my mother started, sliding a container toward me. Sarah's been showing me some lovely ideas for the room. She's thinking of a woodland theme, very gender-neutral, since they don't know what they're having yet. I stabbed a piece of chicken with my fork. That sounds nice. We know this is a big change, my father added, but your mother and I have been talking. We'd like to help with the renovation costs for Lily's new room. Make it really special for her. That's so generous, I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. But actually, I've been thinking about Sarah's situation. My mother perked up. Oh? You're right. She needs support right now. And this house, well, it has so much space. Too much space, really, for just Lily and me. I watched their faces light up with approval and felt a twisted satisfaction. I've decided to make some changes to help accommodate everyone. Oh, Ruby! My mother reached across the table to squeeze my hand. I knew you'd understand. You've always been so practical. A thump from upstairs made us all look up. Lily, waking from her nap. I'll get her, I said quickly, but my mother was already standing. Let me. I want to see my grandbaby. I listened to her footsteps on the stairs, counting the seconds until she'd reached the nursery. The nursery where half the furniture was already gone, carefully documented and stored in a rental unit across town. The realtor thinks it'll sell within days, I whispered to myself. What was that, honey? My father asked. Nothing. Just thinking out loud about paint samples. My mother's voice drifted down from upstairs. Ruby, where's the rocking chair? Oh, I moved it, I called back, making space for Sarah's things. I heard Lily's happy babbling as my mother brought her downstairs. My daughter took one look at me and announced, Bye-bye house? My heart stopped. What does she mean, bye-bye house? My mother asked, settling Lily into her high chair. I forced a laugh. Oh, you know toddlers. She's been saying that to everything lately. Bye-bye spoon, bye-bye cup. It's her new favorite phrase. My father chuckled, but my mother's eyes narrowed slightly. I busied myself wiping invisible crumbs from the counter. When did you say Sarah could start moving things in? She asked. Next weekend, I replied smoothly. I thought we could make a day of it. Get everyone to help. That's wonderful. My mother's suspicion evaporated. I'll call Sarah right now. She'll be so excited. As she stepped into the living room to make the call, my father leaned in close. You're doing the right thing, Ruby. Family has to stick together. I nodded, thinking of the offer Ivy had texted me this morning. 30,000 over asking price, cash buyers, willing to close in 10 days. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Ivy again. Offer accepted? I glanced at my parents, my mother gushing into her phone, my father contentedly eating his lunch, both so certain of their right to redistribute my life, both so sure I would never say no. Take it, I typed back. Lily caught my eye from her high chair and grinned. Bye-bye house, she said again, waving her little hand. I smiled back, my heart racing with equal parts guilt and liberation. That's right, baby girl, I whispered. Bye-bye house. and bye-bye to a whole lot more. You're evil, Harper laughed, slapping another Sarah's Things label on an empty box. Pure evil. I love it. We'd spent the afternoon filling boxes with old newspapers, making them look convincingly heavy. Each one was carefully labeled: Sarah's books, Sarah's winter clothes, Sarah's kitchen stuff. The moving company would be here tomorrow to take my actual belongings to the new condo, but these decoy boxes would stay, completing the illusion that I was making space for my sister. The best part, I said, taping up another box. Sarah texted asking if she could store some things here early. I told her there was plenty of room. Does she have any actual things to store? Nope. But she'll show up with Chad's gaming console and 3 trash bags of laundry, just like last time. Harper snorted. How many times has she temporarily moved in with you? 4. I checked my phone. No, 5. I forgot about the time she got kicked out of that yoga instructor's apartment. The one she was dating while still living with Marcus? That's the one. Lily toddled past us, dragging her favourite stuffed elephant. Bye-bye, house! She called out cheerfully. Harper and I froze. Ruby? My mother's voice came from the front door. Ruby, are you home? Quick, I hissed, shoving the empty boxes behind the couch. Act natural. My mother appeared in the doorway, just as Harper sprawled dramatically across the floor, pretending to play with Lily. Oh, look who's here, my mother cooed at Lily, who immediately ran to her grandmother. And Harper, too. Are you helping Ruby organize? You know me, Harper replied smoothly. Always happy to help with family stuff. My mother's eyes swept the room, taking in the stack of labeled boxes. Oh, good. You're making space for Sarah. She's so excited about moving in. She's already ordered a crib. I felt my eye twitch. She ordered a crib? Yes. It's being delivered next week. I hope that's okay. She used your address since she's staying with Chad right now, and his place is... She wrinkled her nose. Not exactly delivery-friendly. Perfect, I said through gritted teeth. Just perfect. Bye-bye, house, Lily announced again. My mother frowned. She's still saying that. Ruby, do you think she's picking up on some anxiety about the changes? Maybe we should have a family meeting to discuss the transition. No! Harper and I said simultaneously. I mean, I recovered quickly. There's no need. Everything's under control. We're all very excited about Sarah moving in. Right, Harper? Harper's smile could have cracked glass. So excited. Well, I just stopped by to drop off these paint samples Sarah picked out. My mother placed a fan of colour swatches on the coffee table. She's thinking mint green might be too... basic. She was thinking more of a royal purple. I thought about the mint green walls I'd spent weeks perfecting, the ones currently being photographed for the listing. How... unique. Bye-bye, house, Lily said again, pointing at the window where, thankfully, the for sale sign hadn't been installed yet. My mother gathered her purse. I should go. Your father's making dinner tonight, but Sarah might stop by later to measure the windows for curtains. After she left, Harper and I collapsed onto the couch. That was close, she breathed. But Ruby, you have to do something about Lily's new catchphrase before she blows your cover. I know. I picked up my daughter, who immediately started playing with my hair. But she's not wrong. We are saying bye-bye to the house, and to the family's endless expectations. My phone buzzed. A text from Ivy. Sign installation tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp. You ready for this? Harper asked softly. Once that sign goes up, there's no going back. I looked around at the staged boxes, the paint samples, the space that had never really been mine, because my family had always felt entitled to it. Then I looked at my daughter, innocent and happy, unaware that her mother was about to burn every bridge we'd ever crossed. You know what the worst part is? I said, bouncing Lily on my knee. They're so convinced I'll never say no that they're not even bothering to ask permission anymore. They're just taking. Not for much longer, Harper reminded me. My phone buzzed again. Sarah this time. Found the perfect chandelier for my nursery. Ordering it now. You don't mind if they deliver it there next week, right? Love you. I showed Harper the text. She raised an eyebrow. Want me to help you stack more empty boxes? Yes, I said, setting Lily down. And then we're going to practice saying a new phrase. Right, baby girl? Lily looked up at me with her big brown eyes. Bye-bye, house? No, sweetie. This time we're saying bye-bye, Sarah. I watched through my living room window as Sarah's rented U-Haul truck pulled into my driveway. Right on schedule. My sister sat in the passenger seat, one hand resting on her barely visible baby bump, while Chad attempted a 3-point turn that nearly took out my mailbox. My parents' car pulled in right behind them. Ready? Harper whispered from beside me. She'd insisted on being here for moral support, though I suspected it was more for the entertainment value. Almost. I checked my phone. The movers had finished clearing out my actual belongings hours ago. The new condo was ready. Lily was safely at daycare. Everything was in place. Just waiting for the perfect moment. Outside, Sarah hopped down from the truck, her face lighting up at the sight of the nursery furniture I'd carefully arranged on the curb with a large, "Free" sign. My mother was already heading for the front door, keyring in hand, the key I'd conveniently forgotten to ask her to return months ago. The doorbell rang. Places, I muttered to Harper, who retreated to the kitchen with her phone ready to record. I opened the door to find my entire family on the porch, beaming like they'd just won a prize. We're here, Sarah announced, pushing past me into the house. Chad, grab those boxes by the door. They're labeled for the nursery. Mom, did you bring the paint samples? And Ruby, we need to talk about that chandelier delivery. She stopped dead in her tracks. The entrance hall was completely empty. No boxes, no furniture, no pictures on the walls. Ruby? My mother's voice wavered. What's going on? I smiled sweetly. Oh, did I forget to mention? The house has been sold. The silence that followed was deafening. What? Sarah's voice came out as a squeak. The house is sold. I pointed to the massive for sale sign in the front yard, now sporting a bright red sold sticker across it. Closing is next week, but... Sarah's face went from confusion to rage in record time. You can't sell the house. What about the nursery? What about my baby? Your baby? I laughed. You mean the baby you're having with your unemployed boyfriend, for whom you expected me to give up my daughter's nursery? That baby? Ruby, my father stepped forward, using his reasonable voice. Let's talk about this. You can't just make decisions like this without consulting the family. Actually, I can. It's my house, my name on the deed, my mortgage payments, my decision. Sarah burst into tears, the dramatic, wailing kind she'd perfected since childhood. How could you do this to me? I'm pregnant. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem. I gestured to the furniture on the curb. But feel free to take the nursery set. Consider it my baby shower gift. My mother grabbed my arm. Ruby, stop this nonsense right now. You're being cruel. Cruel! I pulled away from her grip. Cruel is hijacking my daughter's first birthday party to announce a pregnancy. Cruel is assuming you can just take over my home because Sarah needs another handout. Cruel is never, ever asking what I want or need because you're all too busy taking. But we're family, Sarah sobbed. No, I said quietly. We're not. We're just people who share DNA and a long history of me giving while you take. Chad, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. So we drove this U-Haul out here for nothing. Not nothing, Harper called from the kitchen doorway, phone still recording. There's some lovely free furniture on the curb. Better hurry though, I posted it on Facebook Marketplace an hour ago. As if on cue, a car pulled up to the curb, and a young couple started loading the changing table into their SUV. "This isn't over," Sarah hissed, mascara running down her face. "You'll regret this." "I doubt it." I opened the front door wider. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to finish packing. The new owners want to do a final walkthrough tomorrow." "Ruby, please." My mother tried one last time. "We can work this out." I thought about all the times I'd given in to that plea. All the times I'd sacrificed my own needs to work things out for Sarah. Not anymore. "The house was mine," I said calmly. "I sold it. Have a nice move." I closed the door on their shocked faces, listening to Sarah's wails turn to angry screams outside. Through the window, I watched as another car pulled up for the free furniture, while my family stood frozen in disbelief. Harper stopped recording and gave me a high five. That was beautiful. "It's not over," I said, hearing Sarah kick the U-Haul's tire in frustration. "They'll be back. Let them come." Harper grinned. "We've got it all on video." Outside, the sold sign gleamed in the afternoon sun, a beacon of my liberation. And somewhere across town, in a peaceful condo overlooking a park, my daughter's new room was waiting, free of family drama, free of manipulation, and most importantly, free of Sarah. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing for 3 days. I scrolled through the messages while Lily napped in her new room, the afternoon sun streaming through the Parkview windows. "You've reached a new low," read my aunt's text. "Your poor sister is devastated." "How could you do this to your family?" demanded my cousin. "Your father is heartbroken," my mother wrote. "He had to take a day off work." The voicemails were worse. "Ruby, it's Mum again. Sarah's been throwing up from stress. If anything happens to this baby, it's on you. Call me back." "Hey sis, it's me. My lawyer says what you did could be considered emotional distress. Just letting you know." Harper sat across from me at my new kitchen island, reading the messages over my shoulder. "Your sister has a lawyer now. She dated one for 2 weeks last year. He gave her his card when she keyed his car. Of course he did." Harper grabbed my phone. "That's it. We're blocking them all." "Wait." I reached for the phone, but Harper held it away. "No waiting. Look at you. You haven't slept properly since the move. You jump every time your phone buzzes. This isn't healthy." She was right. I'd spent 3 nights lying awake, replaying the looks on their faces when they saw the sold sign. The way Sarah's voice cracked when she realized I wasn't joking. My father's disappointed headshake. I swallowed hard. Part of me still wants them to understand, to finally see things from my perspective. "They won't," Harper said gently. "They've had 32 years to see your perspective. They're not going to start now." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Sarah posting on Facebook. "Some people think money and success give them the right to destroy families. Karma will come for those who hurt pregnant women. You're toxic, betrayed, your family trauma." The comments flooded in immediately. "Stay strong, girl. Some sisters are just jealous of new babies. Can't believe anyone would do this to their pregnant sister." Harper made a disgusted noise. "Oh, that's rich coming from the woman who announced her pregnancy at her niece's first birthday party." A knock at the door made us both jump. Through the peephole, I saw Chad shifting awkwardly in the hallway. "Should I call security?" Harper whispered. I shook my head and opened the door. "What do you want, Chad?" He looked worse than usual, unshaven, wearing a wrinkled t-shirt with what looked like yesterday's pizza stains. "She's staying at my place and losing her mind." "You broke her, Ruby." "I broke her?" I laughed incredulously. "She tried to take my house." "Look, I get it wasn't cool how she asked, but..." "Asked?" I cut him off. "She didn't ask. She announced it at my daughter's birthday party and expected me to just hand over my home, just like she's expected me to hand over everything else her entire life. Chad ran a hand through his greasy hair. She's pregnant, man, with my kid. We need help. Then help her yourself. Get a job. Be an actual partner instead of another problem for her to dump on me. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I stepped into the hallway, closing the door so Lily wouldn't wake up. For years, I've watched Sarah bounce between guys like you, men who think their problems are everyone else's responsibility. And every time she crashes and burns, guess who has to clean up the mess? Not anymore. She's your sister, and I'm done being her safety net. I pulled out my phone, showing him Sarah's Facebook post. Tell her if she wants to talk about karma, she should remember every rent check I covered, every crisis I solved, every time I put her first. Then she can talk about karma. Chad's face hardened. Sarah's right. You're just jealous because she's having a baby and you're alone. I laughed so hard I had to lean against the wall. I have a beautiful daughter, a successful career, and now, a peaceful home where no one can guilt me into fixing their lives. Trust me, I'm not jealous. He opened his mouth to argue, but Harper appeared in the doorway. I believe my friend asked you to leave. After he skulked away, Harper handed me back my phone. Ready to block them now? I looked at the screen. 3 more missed calls from my mother, 2 texts from Sarah, and a group chat message from my father asking the extended family to pray for Ruby's heart to soften. Do it, I said. Block them all. As Harper systematically blocked every family contact, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Through the window, I could see the park where I'd take Lily to play later. No drama, no guilt, no manipulation. There, Harper announced, handing back my phone. Now it's just you, me, and that bottle of wine I brought to celebrate your freedom. From the bedroom, I heard Lily stirring from her nap. Make that you, me, Lily, and wine. Perfect combination, Harper smiled. The only family you need. I can't believe I let you talk me into this, I muttered to Harper as we sat in the neutral territory of her apartment, waiting for Sarah to arrive. 2 weeks had passed since the moving day showdown, and my sister had finally agreed to meet, but only with Harper mediating. She needs to hear it, Harper said, arranging coffee cups on the table. And you need to say it. All of it. The doorbell rang exactly on time. A first for Sarah, who'd never been punctual in her life. When Harper opened the door, my sister walked in, looking like she'd dressed for a funeral. Black maternity dress, dark circles under her eyes, one hand protectively over her barely showing stomach. Ruby. Her voice was cold. Sarah. Mine was colder. Harper gestured to the couch. Let's all sit down. Coffee? Tea? I can't have caffeine, Sarah sniffed. Because of the baby. Not that some people care about that. Water it is, Harper said cheerfully, though I caught her eye roll. We sat in awkward silence until Harper cleared her throat. Sarah, you wanted to talk. So talk. Sarah's lower lip trembled. I just want to understand how you could be so evil. Taking away my baby's future home? Your baby's future home? I interrupted. You mean my house? The one I bought? The one I've been paying for? We're family! Sarah's voice rose. Family helps each other. Like you helped me when Lily was born? I leaned forward. Oh, wait, you didn't. You were too busy backpacking through Thailand with... what's his name? That's not fair. I was finding myself. While I was changing diapers and working 60-hour weeks. Alone. Sarah's face crumpled. I'm trying to do better now. I want to be a good mum, like you. I thought you'd help me. By giving you my house? By sharing. By being a sister. Tears spilled down her cheeks. But you're just selfish and bitter and… selfish! I stood up so fast my coffee cup rattled. Let's talk about selfish, Sarah. Let's talk about the time you maxed out my credit card buying festival tickets. Or when you borrowed my car and got 3 parking tickets you never paid. Or how about when you got fired from the job I got you because you were too hungover to show up? I was going through things. You're always going through things, and I'm always expected to fix them. I was shouting now, years of suppressed rage finally breaking free. Do you know what it's like to be the responsible one? To watch your sister wreck everything she touches while everyone expects you to clean up the mess? That's not… When was the last time you asked about my life? About Lily? When was the last time you showed up for anyone but yourself? Sarah stood too, mascara running down her face. You think you're so perfect. Miss Independent with her perfect job and perfect house and perfect life? Well, guess what? Some of us struggle. Some of us need help. Help is one thing. Entitlement is another. I took a deep breath. I finally realized something, Sarah. None of you ever loved me unconditionally. You only loved what I could give. The room went silent, except for Sarah's ragged breathing. That's not true, she whispered. No? Then name one time, just one, when you put my needs before yours. Sarah opened her mouth, then closed it. Her hand drifted to her stomach again, a gesture that once would have made me cave, would have sent me rushing to fix everything. Not anymore. I have something now that I own completely, I said quietly. Peace, and I won't let you take that too. So that's it? Sarah's voice cracked. You're just done with me? With all of us? I'm done being the family ATM. I'm done being the responsible one who has to sacrifice everything. I'm done watching you take and take and take. Harper, who'd been silent throughout our exchange, finally spoke. Sarah, I think it's time for you to go. My sister gathered her purse with shaking hands. At the door she turned back. You'll regret this, when my baby's born and you're not in their life. No, I cut her off. You'll regret this, when your baby's born and you finally understand what it means to be responsible for someone else's happiness, when you realize that burning bridges has consequences. She stared at me for a long moment, then left without another word. Through the window, I watched her walk to her car alone, probably for the first time in her life. Harper touched my shoulder. You okay? I wiped away tears I hadn't realized were falling. No, but I will be. Want to go get Lily from daycare and take her to the park? I nodded, thinking of my daughter's innocent smile, her unconditional love. Yeah, let's go home. Because that's what I had now. Not just a house, but a real home. One built on my terms, free from the weight of toxic family obligations. Hiya, Mama! Lily squealed as I pushed her on the park swing. The autumn breeze carried the sound of her laughter across the playground, mixing with the rustle of falling leaves. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably another blocked message from my family. They'd taken to creating new accounts just to tell me how cruel I was. I'd gotten good at blocking those too. Ruby? A familiar voice made me turn. Sarah stood at the edge of the playground, her pregnancy now clearly visible under a loose sweater. She looked different, tired, but somehow more real than I'd ever seen her. I slowed Lily's swing. What are you doing here? I live nearby now, actually. She gestured to a small apartment building across from the park. Chad and I broke up. I got a job at the coffee shop downstairs. That explained why she looked different. She was wearing a barista's apron instead of her usual designer clothes. You're working? I couldn't keep the surprise from my voice. Yeah. She smiled weakly. Turns out when you can't rely on someone else to fix everything, you have to fix it yourself. Lily pointed at Sarah's belly. Baby? That's right, sweetie, Sarah said softly. Your cousin's in there. I helped Lily out of the swing. Why are you here, Sarah? I had my first ultrasound yesterday. She pulled a grainy black and white photo from her apron pocket. It's a girl, and it made me think about Mum, about how she always played us against each other, about how I let her do it because it was easier than growing up. I sat on the empty swing, pushing myself slightly with one foot while Lily played in the sand nearby. Did Mom send you? No, she doesn't know I'm here. She's still... Sarah sighed. She's still Mom, but I'm trying not to be... well, me. What does that mean? It means I'm sorry. The words came out in a rush. Not just for the house thing, for everything. For being the hurricane that blew through your life expecting you to rebuild everything I destroyed. I studied her face, looking for the manipulation I'd grown so used to seeing. Instead, I found something new, accountability. The thing is, she continued, when Chad left and Mum started talking about me moving back home, I realized I was about to do to my daughter what Mom did to us, make her part of this cycle of dependency, of never growing up. So you got a job instead. And an apartment. It's tiny, and the elevator doesn't work, and I have to make coffee for rude people at 6 a.m., but... She straightened her apron. It's mine. I did it myself. Lily ran over with a handful of sand, proudly showing it to both of us before letting it slip through her fingers. I'm not asking for anything, Sarah said quickly. I want my daughter to know her cousin, to know what strength looks like. Because that's what you are, Ruby. Strong. Not cruel like Mom says. Strong. I watched Lily playing, thinking about all the times I'd wished for this, for Sarah to finally see me. Really see me. There's a coffee shop near my condo too, I said finally. Are they treating you better at yours? Sarah laughed. A real laugh, not her usual practiced giggle. The tips are decent, and my manager says I'm getting better at not burning the lattes. Lily and I usually get hot chocolate there on Sunday mornings, around 9. She caught her breath. Yeah? Yeah. And sometimes we feed the ducks after, when we're not too busy. I'd like that. She wiped her eyes. God, these pregnancy hormones are killer. Tell me about it. I cried at a paper towel commercial when I was pregnant with Lily. We shared a smile, small, tentative but real. I should get back to work, Sarah said, adjusting her apron. But... Sunday? I nodded. Sunday. As she walked away, Lily waved. Bye-bye, baby. You know what, sweetie? I scooped her up, breathing in her baby shampoo smell. I think we just said hello instead. That evening, as I tucked Lily into bed in our cozy condo, I thought about karma. Everyone had expected it to look like revenge, like my family getting what they deserved. Instead, it looked like Sarah in an apron, learning to stand on her own. Like me, learning to set boundaries without burning every bridge. Sometimes karma isn't about monsters getting punished. Sometimes it's about people finally facing themselves in the mirror. I kissed Lily's forehead and whispered, "Sweet dreams, baby girl." Because that's what I'd really bought when I sold that house. Not just peace, but the chance for a new story. One where strength didn't mean carrying everyone else's burdens, and family didn't mean sacrificing yourself. One where bye-bye house meant hello to something better.
The number stared back at me from my phone screen. 0.E. I blinked hard, refreshed the banking app, and watched the same zeros mock me. 3 years of savings, 47,892, meant for my spinal surgery. Gone. Just gone. My name is Bonnie, and this is the story of how I destroyed my family's empire. They deserved every second of what came next. I scrolled through Instagram with trembling hands, and there it was. My brother Tyler's latest post. Him and our father posed beside a cherry red Porsche 911, both wearing identical smirks. The caption read, "Sometimes you just have to treat yourself. Sorry, not sorry. As blessed hunter family first, right." My phone buzzed, Simone calling. I let it go to voicemail, too focused on the mounting evidence in front of me. There were 3 separate transfers from my account to Tyler's over the past week, each one precisely timed when I was at physical therapy. The pain shooting down my spine felt sharper than usual as I grabbed my keys. 20 minutes later, I pulled into the circular driveway of my father's mansion, right behind that blood-red Porsche. "Well, look who finally learned to drive herself somewhere," Tyler's voice carried from the front door. He lounged against the frame in designer sweats, looking like every stereotype of old money gone wrong. "Where is he?" I managed through gritted teeth. "Dad's in his study, but he's busy with—" I pushed past him, my cane clicking against the marble floors. The sound echoed through the cavernous foyer like a metronome counting down to detonation. "Bonnie!" my father's voice boomed as I entered his study. "To what do we owe this unexpected pleasure?" He sat behind his massive desk, perfectly pressed suit and practiced smile in place. The same smile he used in all his company promotional videos. The same smile he wore when telling me I was being dramatic about my pain. "The money," I said. "My surgery fund, you took it." "Borrowed," Tyler corrected, sliding into the room behind me. "We borrowed it. The opportunity for that Porsche was too good to pass up. We'll pay you back." "When? Don't use that tone," my father warned. "We're family. Family helps each other out." "Helps each other?" I pulled out my phone, hands shaking. "Show me where in the past 10 years you've helped me with my medical bills. Show me where you've acknowledged I need this surgery." "Oh, here we go again with the surgery." Tyler rolled his eyes. "You're fine. You're walking, aren't you?" "Barely." My voice cracked. "I can barely make it through a work day. The pain—" "Is all in your head," my father cut in smoothly. "You've always been sensitive, dramatic, like your mother." The mention of my mother, the ultimate taboo in this house, made my blood run cold. I reached into my pocket and felt the reassuring weight of my second phone, the one they didn't know about, the one that had been recording every interaction for months. "You really think I'm just going to let this go?" I asked quietly. Tyler laughed. "What are you going to do about it? Sue us? With what money?" My father stood, walking around his desk to place a hand on my shoulder. I fought the urge to shrug it off. "Sweetheart, you need to learn to be resilient. The world doesn't stop for pain. Look at your sister Kennedy. She never complains." "Kennedy works for you," I said. "She doesn't have a choice." "Everyone has a choice," he replied, his grip tightening slightly. "You're choosing to be difficult. Again." I looked between them, my father with his practiced concern, Tyler with his barely concealed contempt. 3 years of saving every penny, of working through pain that felt like fire in my bones, gone because they wanted a toy. Because they could. "You're right," I said finally, watching their faces relax. "Everyone does have a choice." I turned to leave, my cane striking the floor with purpose now. "That's my girl," my father called after me. "You'll be stronger for this." At the doorway, I paused. "You think I won't do anything? That's your first mistake." Tyler's laughter followed me down the hall. Let them laugh. They had no idea what was coming. In my car, I pulled out my second phone and stopped the recording. Then I opened a folder labelled Firestarter and added it to my collection. 3 years of conversations, screenshots, and financial records. Every cruel comment, every shady deal, every moment of gaslighting captured and catalogued. They thought they were teaching me resilience. Instead, they taught me patience. And now, finally, I had enough ammunition to burn it all down. I texted Simone, "It's time, help me end them." Her response was immediate. "About damn time, come over, we've got work to do." Simone's apartment was a tech nest of monitors and hard drives, all humming with purpose. She didn't look up from her keyboard as I entered, just held up a finger while finishing whatever code she was typing. "Show me everything," she said finally, spinning in her chair. I plugged in my backup drive and pulled up the folder structure I'd been building. 3 years of dirt, organized by date and type, but it goes back further than that. Way further. How far? I closed my eyes, remembering the first time I realized something was wrong. I was 12, Tyler was 9, he'd just won some little league trophy, and Dad threw this massive party. Typical golden child stuff. No, listen, I had surgery scheduled that week, my first spinal fusion. Dad cancelled it the day before, said the money had to go to Tyler's private coaching instead, said I was just being weak, that I needed to learn to push through pain. Simone's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up old medical records. "Jesus, Bonnie, your x-rays from back then. Yeah, but that's not even the worst part." I leaned forward, pointing to a financial statement from that year. "See that account there? The one in my name?" She squinted. "These withdrawals, they're huge, and they don't match any of your medical bills." "Because they weren't for me. Dad's been using accounts in my name since I was a minor. I found out when I tried to get a student loan for college. My credit was already destroyed." Simone's dark eyes narrowed. "That's fraud." "That's just the beginning." I pulled up more recent files. "Look at these company transfers. Every major deal Sherman Industries has made in the last 5 years. There's always a shadow account, always money moving where it shouldn't." "And you have proof?" I played an audio file from 3 months ago, my father's voice filling the room. "The investors don't need to know about that account. What matters is keeping up appearances. Family business stays in the family." Simone whistled low. "Your dad's going to lose everything when this gets out." "That's the plan." I pulled up another folder. "But first, I need you to help me verify something. These payments to someone named Gage Riley, they're huge, but they don't match any official contracts." Her fingers were already moving. "Gage Riley. Oh shit. Bonnie, this is big. He's like conservative Jesus in the venture capital world, all about family values and clean business. If he finds out Sherman Industries is cooking the books, he'll pull his funding," I finished, "and once he does, others will follow." "You're not just trying to hurt them," Simone said slowly. "You're trying to destroy the whole company." My phone buzzed. Kennedy calling. I ignored it. "They took everything from me," I said quietly. "My savings, my credit, my chance at a normal life. They made me think I was crazy for years. Now they're going to learn what crazy really looks like." Simone turned back to her screens. "These records need cleaning up. We need to make them impossible to dispute. Give me a few hours." My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Tyler. "Dad says come to dinner tomorrow. Don't be difficult." "Perfect timing," I said, showing Simone the text. "Family dinner. Want to bet Dad's going to brag about his latest deals?" "You're going to record it?" I pulled out my second phone. "I'm going to let them hang themselves." Simone grabbed my arm. "Bonnie, wait. Once we do this, once we send this to Riley, there's no going back. Your whole family. They stopped being family the day they decided my pain was inconvenient." I stood up, fighting back a wince. "Besides, Kennedy's been trying to reach me. Maybe she's finally ready to pick a side. Or maybe she's warning you about something." I checked my messages. Kennedy had sent a single text. "I know what you're doing. We need to talk." "Tomorrow's dinner just got more interesting," I said, pocketing my phone. "Can you have everything ready by then?" Simone nodded. "I'll clean up these records, make them airtight. But Bonnie, be careful tomorrow. Don't let them see what's coming." I thought about the way Tyler had laughed at me, the way my father's hand had gripped my shoulder. Years of being told I was weak, dramatic, unstable, years of watching them take and take while I suffered. Don't worry, I said, heading for the door. I learned from the best. I'll smile, I'll nod, I'll play the good daughter, and then I'll burn their world to the ground. As I left, I noticed a new transaction alert on my phone. Another payment from Sherman Industries to Gage Riley, bigger than any before. Dad, I whispered to myself, you really should have taught me better math skills, because your numbers don't add up, and now everyone's gonna know it. The family dining room felt smaller than I remembered, like the walls were closing in with every bite of overcooked salmon. My recording phone sat in my lap, hidden under the napkin, catching every word. So then I told Riley, my father was saying, wine sloshing dangerously close to the rim of his glass, that the Q3 projections were conservative. Conservative! He has no idea what's really coming. Tyler snickered. Did you see his face when you showed him those doctored reports? Keep your voice down, Kennedy hissed, shooting a glance at the hovering housekeeper. Oh, relax, Tyler said. Maria doesn't speak enough English to understand anyway. I watched Maria's shoulders stiffen as she refilled water glasses. Her English was perfect. I'd heard her discussing classic literature with the gardener just last week, but they never bothered to notice things like that. Speaking of reports, my father continued, the offshore accounts are performing beautifully. Riley thinks all that money is going to charitable foundations. He laughed. Technically, the Sherman Family Foundation is a charity. To us. Kennedy pushed her food around her plate. Maybe we shouldn't what? Tyler cut in. Make money? Create opportunities? Some of us actually contribute to this family, unlike others. He looked pointedly at me. I took a slow sip of water. How's the new car handling? Like a dream, Tyler smirked. Thanks for your contribution to that, sis. Don't worry, you'll get your money back, eventually. Tyler, Kennedy warned. What? She's fine. Look at her, sitting there all quiet and well-behaved. Finally learned her place, didn't you, Bonnie? My father raised his glass. A toast to family unity, to understanding our roles. The crystal clinked. I lifted my glass with steady hands, the phone recording every moment. Actually, I said carefully, I've been thinking about roles lately, about legacy. My father's eyes narrowed slightly. Oh? Been reading about family businesses, succession planning, very interesting stuff. Tyler laughed. Since when do you care about the business? I've always cared. I just show it differently. I turned to my father. For instance, I've been following the Riley account closely. Fascinating structure. The room went still. Kennedy's fork clattered against her plate. The business doesn't concern you, my father said flatly. No, but we're family. Isn't that what you always say? Family first. Tyler leaned forward. What exactly are you implying? Nothing at all, I smiled. Just taking an interest. Like you said, I should contribute more. Bonnie, Kennedy said quietly, maybe we should talk after dinner. Yes, my father's voice hardened. Maybe you should. Kennedy can explain how things work around here. Oh, I think I'm starting to understand exactly how things work. Maria appeared at my elbow with dessert. As she set down the plate, she deliberately bumped my water glass, sending water across my lap, and covering my quick movement to stop the recording. Lo siento, she said, but her eyes met mine with clear purpose. She'd been listening. She knew. Clumsy as always, Tyler muttered. I stood, dabbing at my dress. I should clean up. Kennedy, walk with me? In the hallway bathroom, Kennedy closed the door behind us. What are you doing? What does it look like? It looks like you're trying to get yourself cut off completely. She ran a hand through her hair. Dad's already talking about removing you from the family trust. Let him. I pulled out my phone, showing her the folder of evidence. I've got something better than a trust fund. Her face went pale as she scrolled. How long have you been gathering this? Long enough. The question is, Kennedy, where will you be standing when it all comes out? You can't be serious. This would destroy everything. They destroyed everything when they stole my surgery money, when they used my name for fraud, when they made me think I was crazy for years. I took my phone back. You know what they've done to both of us? She looked away. It's complicated. No, it's really not. I headed for the door. But you've got about 12 hours to decide if you want to be on the right side of what's coming. Bonnie, wait. Tell Dad I wasn't feeling well. Must be all that drama he's always talking about. Back in my car, I sent the dinner recording to Simone, adding it to our growing file. Then I composed a new email, attaching everything: the financial records, the recordings, the proof of fraud. I addressed it to Gage Riley with the subject line, "From my family to yours." My finger hovered over the send button. 3 years of planning, a lifetime of pain, all coming down to this moment. I thought of Tyler's smirk, my father's dismissal, Kennedy's fear. I pressed send. Your move, I whispered to the empty car. Your move. 3 days of silence felt like an eternity. I checked my email obsessively, jumped at every phone notification, but nothing happened. The world kept spinning. My father kept posting photos of business meetings. Tyler kept sharing shots of his new car. Then Simone called. "Check your texts," she said without preamble. "My cousin Ingrid, the one who works for Riley, she just sent me something interesting." I opened the message. "Boss cancelled all meetings for next week. Spent 3 hours with legal yesterday. Storm's coming." My hands shook as I typed back. "How bad?" The reply came instantly. Bad enough that he made me shred his personal copies of the Sherman contracts. He never shreds anything. I called my father's office, using my sweetest voice with his secretary. "Hi, Linda. Just checking if the investor meeting is still on for Thursday?" "Oh, honey, didn't your father tell you? Mr. Riley's office cancelled. Something about scheduling conflicts." Scheduling conflicts, right? I was making coffee when my phone buzzed with a news alert. My cup crashed to the floor as I read the headline, "Riley Ventures issues statement on integrity concerns with major partnership." The article was vague but pointed. "In light of recent information regarding potential irregularities in financial reporting," my phone exploded with notifications. First Tyler, "What did you do?" Then my father, "Family meeting, now." I ignored them both, but turned on the business news. The anchor was already discussing it. Trading of Sherman Industries stock has been temporarily halted following concerning statements from major investor Gage Riley. Simone called again. "It's happening! Riley's people are going through everything with a fine-toothed comb. Ingrid says they found even more than what we sent them. Has anyone traced the leak back to me? No, we covered our tracks, but Bonnie, your father's not stupid. He'll figure it out." As if on cue, my father's contact photo lit up my screen. I declined the call. "Good," Simone said. "Don't engage. Let them sweat." Another text from Tyler. "You think you're so clever? Wait until Dad." I blocked his number. The doorbell rang. I froze, expecting my father's angry face. Instead, I found Kennedy standing there, a large suitcase at her feet. "I quit," she said simply. "This morning, right after Riley's statement hit the news." I didn't move from the doorway. Why? Because I watched Dad throw his phone through a window when the stock trading was halted. Because Tyler's already talking about moving assets offshore. Because... She took a shaky breath. "Because you were right about everything. You could be recording this for them." She pulled out her phone, removed the battery, and handed both pieces to me. "I'm done being their puppet. I have proof of my own, stuff even you don't know about, if you'll let me help." I studied her face. the dark circles under her eyes, the slight tremor in her hands. This wasn't the polished Kennedy who sat silently through family dinners. This was the sister I remembered from before, when we were kids and still on the same side. "You can come in," I said finally, "but if you're playing me—" "I'm not." She dragged her suitcase inside. "I already sent everything to my lawyer. Dad can't touch me now." My phone buzzed with another news alert. Second major investor pulls out of Sherman Industries amid growing concerns. Kennedy read it over my shoulder. "That'll be the Jacobsons. They always follow Riley's lead." "How bad is it going to get?" "Bad." She met my eyes. "Dad's been running a house of cards for years. Once people start looking closely—" She pulled out a laptop. "Want to see what else I brought with me?" Before I could answer, both our phones chimed with the same message, a company-wide email from our father. "To all Sherman Industries employees, recent media reports have contained malicious falsehoods about our company. Rest assured, we are taking swift action against these baseless attacks. Any employee found spreading these lies will face immediate termination and legal action. We are family. Family stays loyal." Kennedy's laugh was hollow. "Loyal, like he was loyal to Mom?" I turned to her sharply. "What about Mom?" "Oh, God," she covered her mouth. "You don't know, do you, about why she really left?" Another chime, this time from Simone. "Riley's office just released another statement. Turn on the news now." As I reached for the remote, Kennedy grabbed my arm. "Bonnie, there's something you need to know first. About Mom, about Dad, about accounts he set up in our names when we were kids." The TV flickered to life, showing Riley himself at a podium. His face was grave as he began to speak. This was it. No going back now. "The evidence of financial misconduct at Sherman Industries is both extensive and deeply troubling." Riley's voice filled my living room. "As a company built on family values, we cannot maintain ties with an organization that betrays the trust of its investors, employees, and the public." Kennedy muted the TV. "Before this goes any further, you need to know the truth. Mom didn't abandon us. Dad forced her out." "What are you talking about?" She opened her laptop, pulling up old documents. "Remember when you were 8, and suddenly Mum was just gone? Dad said she ran off with some guy. He said she couldn't handle family responsibility. Look at this." Kennedy turned the screen toward me. "These are accounts Dad opened in our names, all 3 of us kids. But look at Mum's signature here. She was listed as a co-trustee." My phone buzzed continuously as news alerts poured in, but I couldn't look away from the documents. "Mum found out he was using our identities for fraud," Kennedy continued. "She threatened to report him, so he gave her a choice: leave with nothing or go to jail as an accomplice." "Why didn't you tell me before?" "Because I was scared, because he convinced me she deserved it, because—" Kennedy's voice broke. "Because I was a coward." My father's face appeared on the TV screen, now unmuted. He stood at a podium outside Sherman Industries headquarters. "These allegations are completely false," he declared. "My daughter Bonnie, who has a history of mental health issues and substance abuse, has fabricated these claims out of spite." "What?" I grabbed the remote, turning up the volume. "My beloved daughter has struggled with reality for years," he continued, his voice dripping with practiced concern. "We've tried to help her, but she's refused treatment. These accusations are a cry for help." Tyler appeared beside him, nodding solemnly. "We love my sister, but she needs professional help. She's been increasingly unstable since being denied an unnecessary surgery she wanted. Those lying—" I started to stand, but Kennedy pulled me back down. "Wait," she said, "let them dig their hole deeper." My phone rang. "Simone." "Turn on your laptop now," she said when I answered. "They're trying to smear you online, but we've got something better." I opened my email to find a video file from Simone. Security footage from Sherman Industries dated 3 days ago. My father and Tyler, crystal clear, discussing how to move money before Riley discovered the truth. Where did you get this? Martin Olson sent it to me, Simone said. The CFO, he's jumping ship, Bonnie, says he's got more. Kennedy was already typing furiously on her laptop. I'm sending everything I have to Riley's legal team, bank statements, board meeting minutes, everything. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. This is Ingrid. Riley wants to meet tomorrow morning. Bring everything you have. On TV, my father was still talking. We ask for privacy during this difficult time as we help Bonnie get the treatment she needs. Treatment? I laughed bitterly. Let's talk about treatment. I pulled up my medical records on my phone, snapped photos of my spine x-rays, and started typing. What are you doing? Kennedy asked. Fighting back. I posted the images on every social media platform. Dear Dad, here are my unnecessary medical records. Care to explain why you cancelled my surgery when I was 12? Or why you stole my surgery fund last week? Within minutes, the posts started going viral. Comments flooded in, many from people sharing similar stories of medical gaslighting and financial abuse. Bonnie, Simone's voice was urgent through the phone. Martin just sent more files. Your dad, he's been doing this to other families too, using their kids' identities, setting up fake accounts. It's huge. Kennedy's hand found mine. We need to call Mom. We don't even know where she is. Actually, Kennedy pulled out an old envelope. I do. I've always known. I was too afraid to tell you. Before I could respond, Tyler's face filled my phone screen. He was going live on Instagram. My sister is having another episode, he said gravely. We have proof of her instability. The screen split to show a video of me screaming incoherently at someone off camera. That's not real, I whispered. It's doctored, Simone confirmed quickly. Give me an hour, I'll prove it's fake. Kennedy stood up, shoulders straight. I'm doing my own live stream right now. Time to tell everyone what really happened to their perfect family. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Martin Olson. Meeting tomorrow with SEC investigators. Your father doesn't know yet. Bring everything. I looked at Kennedy, already setting up her camera. At Simone, working to expose Tyler's fake video. At my medical records, finally telling their own truth. Dad wanted to teach me about family, I said quietly. Let's show him what I learned. The SEC's conference room felt colder than a morgue. Martin Olson sat across from me, spreading documents across the table, while two federal investigators took notes. These accounts, Martin pointed to a spreadsheet, were all opened using stolen identities, children's identities. The oldest ones date back 20 years, including my sister's, Kennedy added. She hadn't left my side since her live stream went viral yesterday. Dad used all three of us, but Bonnie got the worst of it. My phone buzzed, Simone sending updates. She'd proven Tyler's video was fake, spliced together from multiple sources. The damage control was already starting. Mr. Riley is prepared to testify, one investigator said, reviewing her notes. His statement about the offshore accounts is particularly damaging. A knock at the door interrupted us. A young woman entered with a folder. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. Sherman Industries just lost 3 more major clients, stocks in freefall. Martin nodded grimly. It's over. Charles can't recover from this. My phone lit up again, this time with a news alert. I nearly dropped it reading the headline. Sherman Industries CEO steps down amid fraud investigation. He's running, Kennedy said, reading over my shoulder. Tyler too. Their social media's gone dark. The investigator leaned forward. Miss Sherman, we'll need to discuss protective measures. Your father may. Already handled, Simone's voice came through my speakerphone. Bonnie's got security and I'm monitoring all communications. They won't get near her. A new email popped up on my laptop from the Public Health Grant Committee I'd applied to months ago. My hands shook as I opened it. "What is it?" Kennedy asked. "I got approved for the surgery, full coverage." I couldn't keep my voice steady. "They fast-tracked it after seeing my case in the news." Kennedy hugged me tight while Martin smiled for the first time that day. Sometimes karma works fast. The meeting continued, details piling up like evidence in a murder case, which, in a way, it was. The death of Sherman Industries happening in real time. "One more thing," Martin said as we wrapped up. "The internal audit found something else. Letters never sent. From your mother." My heart stopped. "What?" He slid a thick envelope across the table. "Your father intercepted them, all of them, for years." I stared at the envelope but couldn't bring myself to open it. Not here, not now. "The surgery's scheduled for next week," I said instead. "Will you need anything else before then?" The investigator shook her head. "We have more than enough. Get your surgery, Miss Sherman. We'll handle your father." Outside, Kennedy helped me to the car. My back was screaming after sitting so long, but for the first time in years, I felt hope. Real, tangible hope. "Bonnie!" a familiar voice called out. Tyler stood by his Porsche, looking dishevelled. "Please, just listen." "Step back," Kennedy warned, putting herself between us. "Haven't you done enough?" "Dad's gone," Tyler said quickly. "Took off this morning. Left me to deal with everything. Please, I need your help." I laughed, actually laughed. "Like I needed your help when you stole my surgery money?" "I'm your brother." "No," I cut him off. "You're just another one of Dad's victims. You just haven't figured it out yet." My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered on speaker. "Hello, Bonnie," my father's voice smooth as ever. "Quite a show you've put on. Where are you?" "Somewhere safe, but I wanted you to know I underestimated you. You truly are my daughter." "I'm nothing like you." "No?" He chuckled. "Look what you've done. Destroyed a family business, ruined your brother's future, all for revenge, if that's not a Sherman move. Goodbye, Dad." I hung up. Tyler stood there, lost. Looking at him now, I saw what I'd missed before, another pawn in our father's game. "The investigators have questions for you," I told him. "Your choice if you answer them." As Kennedy drove me home, I finally opened my mother's letters. 20 years of love, explanations and pain poured out onto my lap. The first line of the earliest letter caught my eye. "My dearest Bonnie, I pray someday you'll understand why I had to leave, and that you'll be stronger than I was." I am. My phone chimed with a final news alert. Sherman Industries faces class action lawsuit as more victims come forward. "Ready for surgery next week?" Kennedy asked softly. I looked at the letters in my lap, thought of the long road ahead. Ready for everything. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beep of monitors. Post-surgery hour 3, and I was finally clear-headed enough to check my phone. Hundreds of notifications lit up the screen. "You shouldn't be looking at that yet," Kennedy scolded, trying to take the phone away. "Wait," I said, opening a news alert. "They found him." My father's arrest had happened while I was under anaesthesia. The photos showed him being led from a private airstrip in handcuffs, his perfect suit wrinkled, his practiced smile gone. "Tyler turned himself in too," Kennedy said softly. "He's cooperating with investigators." Simone burst into the room, laptop under her arm. "You're trending! The blog post went viral!" Before surgery, I'd published everything, every document, recording and letter, in a post titled "Family Goals, a Story of Financial Abuse and Survival." It had exploded overnight. How many views? I tried to sit up, wincing at the movement. Over 2 million, and that's just the beginning. Simone opened her laptop. "People are sharing their own stories. It's becoming a movement." My phone buzzed with a text from Martin. SEC found more accounts. Your mother wasn't his first victim. This goes back to his own childhood. Have you read all the letters yet? Kennedy asked, gesturing to Mum's envelope on the bedside table. Most of them. I picked up the most recent one, dated just 2 years ago. She tried to warn me. She knew what he was doing with my medical fund. But she couldn't reach you directly without risking everything, Simone finished. God, this would make an amazing documentary. A knock at the door interrupted us. A nurse entered, followed by a familiar face, Maria, our former housekeeper. I hope it's okay, she said, setting down a small plant. I wanted to check on you, and to thank you. Thank me? Your father. He did the same thing to my daughter. Used her identity when she was young. The lawyers say we can join the class action now. More visitors came throughout the day. Martin brought updates about the investigation. Ingrid stopped by with messages from Riley. Even Tyler's ex-girlfriend appeared, sharing stories of financial manipulation we'd never known about. Miss Sherman? A woman in a sharp suit appeared in the doorway. I'm Amanda Torres from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. When you're feeling stronger, we'd like to talk. About what? Your father's pattern goes deeper than anyone realized. We're finding connections to other companies, other families. Your blog post opened a floodgate. After she left, Kennedy pulled up the latest news on her tablet. Look at this. Dad's old business partners are falling like dominoes. Everyone's scrambling to distance themselves. Including the governor, Simone added. He's returning all campaign contributions from Sherman Industries. My phone lit up with another message. This one from Tyler, sent from his lawyer's office. I'm telling them everything about the fake accounts, the offshore money, all of it. I'm sorry, Bonnie. I was wrong about everything. Do you believe him? Kennedy asked. I believe he's scared. I shifted in the bed, the pain medication wearing off. But maybe that's what he needed to be. Simone's laptop chimed. Oh, wow, the Women's Business Alliance wants you to speak at their conference. Topic, financial abuse and family power dynamics. They know I'm not an expert, right? No, Kennedy said firmly. You're something better. You're a survivor who fought back. The nurse returned with pain medication, but also news. There's a reporter in the lobby. Says she's doing a feature on familial financial abuse. Wants to talk to you. I looked at my sister, my best friend, the stack of letters from my mother. 20 years of silence broken open like a dam. Tell her I'll talk, I said, but not just about me, about everyone who's been trapped by family loyalty, everyone who's been told to stay quiet. Like Mom, Kennedy whispered. Like Mom, I agreed, and everyone else. My phone buzzed one final time that day, an email from an unknown address. The subject line made my heart stop. It's time to come home. It's from Mom, I breathed, opening it. Her words filled the screen. My brave, brilliant girl, I've been following everything. You did what I couldn't. You stood up, spoke out, and broke the cycle. I'm ready to tell my part of the story, if you'll let me. Tears blurred my vision as I typed back, Come home, Mom. We have a lot to talk about. Kennedy read the exchange over my shoulder, her own tears falling. She's really coming back. We all are, I said. Coming back, standing up, speaking out. Simone was already typing. I'm starting a website for others like us, people trapped by family financial abuse. Perfect, I smiled, feeling stronger despite the surgery pain. Let's help them all come home. The lake behind the women's shelter rippled with early morning light. I sat on my favourite bench, watching a family of ducks glide past while my newly healed spine supported me without pain. There you are, Simone called, hurrying down the path with her laptop. The donations just hit 3 million. We can fund the whole shelter renovation now. Our non-profit, Digital Defence Alliance, had grown from a simple website into something bigger than we'd imagined. hundreds of survivors sharing stories, helping others escape financial abuse. "Did you see the news about Dad?" Kennedy joined us, carrying coffee. 15 years, no parole. I nodded. The sentencing had been yesterday. I hadn't attended, but I'd watched the live stream. My father, still trying to look dignified in his prison jumpsuit, had finally shown his true face when the judge mentioned restitution payments. "Tyler got 5 years, Simone added, but with good behaviour and his cooperation. He's already helping other kids of white-collar criminals," Kennedy said, "running support groups from inside." My phone buzzed, a message from Maria. "Another family just arrived at the shelter, mother and 3 kids. They're ready to talk when you are." "I'll be right there." I stood up, testing my back. No pain, just strength. "Bonnie!" Mum's voice carried across the lawn. She was walking toward us with Martin Olson, deep in conversation. Since her return, she'd become our financial advisor, helping other survivors untangle years of identity theft and hidden accounts. "The SEC wants to use our case as a training model," she said, reaching us. "Martin's team is drafting the curriculum." Speaking of training, Simone pulled up her calendar. "The FBI Financial Crimes Unit needs more dates for their workshop series. They say your sessions are always full." I laughed. "Tell them I'm booked solid with shelter work for the next month." "About that," Kennedy pulled out her tablet. "Remember that trust fund Dad set up in your name? The legitimate one from Grandma? The only account he didn't drain? What about it? The courts unfroze it yesterday. You can finally access it." I looked at the shelter behind us, our shelter now, funded by recovered assets from Sherman Industries. Women and children learned financial literacy here, rebuilt their lives, found their voices. "Add it to the renovation fund," I said. "The shelter needs a better security system." Mum squeezed my hand. "Your grandmother would be proud of that choice." "Miss Bonnie!" A teenage girl appeared on the path. "The new family's settled in, but the mum's scared about testifying against her husband." "Tell her I'm coming." I turned to my mother. "Want to help with this one?" She smiled. "Always." As we walked toward the shelter, Simone called out, "Don't forget, you're keynoting at the Justice Conference next week." "Already finished my speech," I called back. "It's called Standing Without Pain." Inside, the new family huddled on a couch, a mother and 3 daughters, all looking as scared as I'd been that day I checked my empty bank account. "Hi," I said softly, sitting across from them. "I'm Bonnie. This is my mum, Janet. Want to tell us your story?" The mother clutched her purse, eyes darting to the door. "You don't understand. He'll find us. He always does." "I do understand." I pulled up our website on my tablet, showed her the thousands of stories there. "See all these people? They thought they were alone too, but they're not, and neither are you." "But the money," she whispered. "He controls everything." Mum leaned forward. "So did my husband. Want to know how we beat him?" The eldest daughter, maybe 16, spoke up. "I've read about you, about what you did. Can you really help us?" "Better," I said. "We can help you help yourselves." I looked around the room, at my mother, strong and free, at this family taking their first steps toward freedom, at the sunlight streaming through windows we'd installed ourselves. My phone buzzed with another message from Kennedy. "Riley's Foundation just doubled their funding pledge. We can open 2 more shelters this year." The mother was crying now, but they were tears of relief. Her daughters huddled closer, protective and hopeful. "Ready to take your life back?" I asked them. The mother straightened her shoulders, looked at her daughters and nodded. "Ready?" "Then let's begin," I said, opening my laptop. "Your story starts now." Outside, more families would come, more stories would unfold, more voices would rise. But right here, right now, watching this family begin their journey to freedom, I felt the truth of what we'd built from the ashes of my father's empire. He taught me to stand on my own 2 feet, but we taught each other how to soar.
The first time I collapsed in front of my mother, she stepped over my body to answer a phone call about her book club. I was 16 then. 12 years later, as I lay curled on our kitchen floor with pain ripping through my abdomen, nothing had changed. My name is Maria, and I've spent most of my life being told I'm just dramatic. "Mum, please," I whispered, clutching my stomach. "I need help. The specialist said what you wanted to hear," Mum cut in, not looking up from her phone. "How convenient that the only doctor who believes you is the one charging $20,000 for surgery." The morning light streaming through our kitchen windows felt too harsh, too exposing. I pulled myself up using the counter, fighting waves of nausea. "The payment plan? I just need a co-signer. I have savings for the down payment." "Here we go again," Skylar announced, breezing into the kitchen in her yoga outfit. "Another medical drama from Maria. What is it this time? More mysterious pain that no regular doctor can diagnose?" I gripped the counter harder. "It's endometriosis. They found nothing," Skylar snapped, pouring her green smoothie. "Just like always. You know what I think? I think you're jealous that I'm getting married next spring, and this is your way of making everything about you." Again, Mum nodded sagely, as if Skylar had unveiled some profound truth. "Honey, we've been through this since you were a teenager. Every time something good happens to someone else, you end up in the ER. That's not..." The pain surged again, and I doubled over. "I have medical records, test results," "which mysteriously never show anything concrete," Skylar interjected. "Just like when you claimed you had chronic fatigue during my college graduation, or when you couldn't attend Mum's retirement party because of your migraine." "I brought the paperwork," I gasped, fumbling with my bag. "The loan documents, everything's ready, I just need..." Mum finally looked up, her face a mask of practiced concern. "Maria, sweetie, do you know what co-signing would mean? We'd be responsible if you defaulted. And let's be honest, you can barely hold down a job with all your episodes." "I haven't missed a day of work in 8 months, I protested. "I've saved $12,000. I just need help with..." "Enough!" Skylar slammed her glass down. "You want Mum to risk her retirement fund on your vanity surgery? Because you're too weak to handle normal female problems that the rest of us deal with just fine?" The room spun. Not from pain this time, but from the realization that was finally, irreversibly settling in. They were never going to believe me, never going to help me. "I'm your daughter," I whispered to Mom. "Your baby sister," I turned to Skylar. "How can you..." "Oh, stop with the guilt trips," Skylar rolled her eyes. "You're 28, Maria. Isn't it time you grew up and stopped playing victim?" Mom stood up, gathering her things. "I have bridge club in 30 minutes. Maria, we love you, but this attention-seeking behaviour needs to stop. Have you considered therapy? I can recommend someone who specialises in personality disorders." I stared at them both. These women who shared my blood, who had watched me suffer for years and decided I was lying. Something cold and hard crystallised in my chest. "You're right," I said quietly, straightening up despite the pain. "I need to grow up, to stop expecting help from people who don't want to give it." "Now you're being dramatic again," Skylar sighed. "Just go home, take some Advil, and get over yourself." I walked out of that kitchen on legs that barely held me, made it to my car before the tears started. As I fumbled with my keys, another wave of pain hit, the worst one yet. I slid down against my car door, ending up on the concrete of our driveway. Through the kitchen window, I could see them continuing their mourning, as if I'd never been there. Mum was laughing at something on her phone. Skylar was taking a selfie with her smoothie. "I won't forget this," I whispered to myself, to them, to whatever force in the universe was witnessing this moment. "I won't forget, and someday neither will you." I didn't know it then, but that morning was the last time I'd ever asked them for help, the last time I'd let myself be small in their presence. As I finally managed to start my car and drive away, I felt something shift inside me, something that had nothing to do with physical pain. They wanted me to get over myself? Fine. I would get over the person they thought I was, the victim they'd made me into, and I would become someone they'd regret underestimating. 3 months after my family refused to help, I found myself hunched over my laptop at 3 a.m, trying to breathe through another pain flare while answering emails for strangers. Virtual assistant work wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and let me work from bed when standing became impossible. "You're still online?" A message popped up from Douglas, another VA I'd met in a freelancer group. "It's late in your time zone." "Can't sleep anyway," I typed back. "Might as well make money." "Pain night? When isn't it?" A pause then. "Have you considered joining some of the chronic illness support groups I mentioned? The ones that help my sister?" I had, actually. I'd spent hours scrolling through their posts, reading stories that mirrored my own. Women dismissed by doctors, abandoned by family, fighting battles in their own bodies while the world told them it was all in their heads. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I declined it, just like I had the last dozen times. The text that followed made my chest tight. "Skylar's bridal shower next weekend. Don't embarrass us by being sick again." I blocked her number. "Maria?" Douglas was still waiting online. "You there? Sorry, family stuff. Tell me more about those groups." Over the next hour, Douglas shared links and resources, but it was one particular comment that caught my attention. These people pay hundreds for coaches who understand their struggles, who've lived it. The next morning I called my bank. I'd like to check my surgery savings balance. Current balance is $13,047, the teller reported. I took a deep breath. "I'd like to withdraw it all." "Are you sure?" "I thought this was for your medical procedure." "Change of plans. I'm investing in something else." That afternoon, I enrolled in 3 business courses and a health coaching certification program. Every cent I earned from VA work went to basic expenses. Every dollar from my surgery fund went to building something bigger. Douglas became my sounding board, then my mentor, then my business partner. We worked through nights, through pain flares, through moments of doubt. "You really think people will pay for this?" I asked him one evening, staring at our newly designed website. "Wellness coaching for chronic pain sufferers?" "You're offering what doctors can't," he said. "Understanding, strategy, hope." 6 months in, we got our first client, then another, then 10 more. I was working with our newest client when Skylar's wedding invitation arrived. The gold embossed envelope felt heavy with expectation. I dropped it, unopened, into my shredder. My phone lit up, Mom again, from a new number. "Your sister is devastated you're missing the final dress fitting. Why are you being so selfish?" I typed back my last message to her. "I'm not being selfish. I'm being absent. There's a difference." Then I blocked that number too. A year into building the business, during a particularly bad pain day, I found myself back in the ER. The same one where they'd first discovered my endometriosis, where my family had refused to believe the diagnosis. "Ms. Maria?" The nurse looked concerned. "Your emergency contact information is blank. Would you like to update it?" I thought about Mom, about Skylar, about all the times they'd left me alone in rooms like this. "No," I said. "Leave it blank." That night, I posted in one of our client groups. Sometimes healing means accepting that the people who should help you won't, and building a life around that truth. The responses flooded in. Hundreds of people sharing similar stories, similar pain, similar revelations. Our client list doubled that week. 2 years after that morning in my mother's kitchen, I sat in my own apartment, reviewing our company's quarterly earnings. The numbers blurred through my tears, not from pain this time, but from a different kind of ache. Douglas called to celebrate. "We did it, Maria. The business is officially self-sustaining. You know what this means?" I did. It meant I'd built something real out of my family's disbelief, something that helped others while helping myself. "You never did get that surgery," he said quietly. "No," I agreed, touching my abdomen where the pain still lived. "But I got something else instead, something they can't take away." That night, I dreamed of that morning in the kitchen, of lying on the floor while they stepped over me. But this time, in my dream, I stood up immediately, walked out without begging, started building sooner. When I woke, my phone showed a notification, a post from Skylar's perfect Instagram life, complaining about some minor inconvenience. I unfollowed her account and opened my laptop. There were people who needed real help, real understanding, and I had work to do. Success feels different when you build it from scratch. By my 31st birthday, our wellness coaching platform had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. We'd hired 5 more coaches, all chronic illness survivors themselves, and our waiting list stretched months long. "You should see this," Douglas said during our morning video call, sharing his screen. It showed Skylar's latest Instagram post, a perfectly filtered photo of her cutting a ribbon at some charity event. The caption read, "Missing my sister today. Family is everything." I snorted. "Funny how family becomes everything when you need social media engagement. She's been tagging you in posts like this for weeks," Douglas noted. "Want me to have legal send another cease and desist?" "Don't bother. She'll just play victim again." I switched tabs to our client dashboard. "How's the new program launch looking?" The numbers were good. Really good. Our Invisible Illness Survival Guide had sold out in pre-orders. Each sale felt like a tiny victory, not just for me, but for everyone who'd ever been told their pain wasn't real. My phone buzzed with a text from Quinn, my younger cousin. "Heads up, Mum said Aunt Karen was asking for your new address again." "Thanks for the warning," I replied. "Still not interested?" "Can't blame you," Quinn wrote back. "BTW, saw your TED talk. Made me cry. Good crying, though." That talk had been terrifying to give. Standing on stage, telling hundreds of strangers how betrayal by family had led to building a community for others like me. The video went viral in chronic illness circles, which probably explained my mother's renewed interest in my whereabouts. Later that afternoon, I sat in my home office, interviewing a potential new coach. She had fibromyalgia and a story that echoed mine. "My husband left when the medical bills got too high," she explained. "Said he couldn't handle my negativity anymore." "Their loss becomes our strength," I told her. "You're hired." After the call, I opened my email to find a message from my old doctor's office. They were using our platform as a recommended resource for chronic pain patients. The same office where Mom and Skylar had once convinced the staff I was faking symptoms for attention. "Look what just landed in my inbox," I messaged Douglas, forwarding the email. "Karma's got a sense of humour," he replied. "Speaking of which, have you seen Skylar's GoFundMe?" I hadn't. A quick search showed she was trying to raise money for some wellness retreat. The irony wasn't lost on me. My intercom buzzed, the front desk of my building. "Ms. Maria, there's a Karen here insisting she's your mother." My hands shook slightly as I pressed the button. "Tell her I'm not available. And please update my no-entry list." "Of course. Should I call security?" "Only if she makes a scene." I watched through my window as Mom left the building, her shoulders slumped in practiced dejection. She'd probably tell everyone how her cruel daughter had turned her away. She'd conveniently forget the times she'd turned me away when I was actually dying. My phone lit up with a notification, a review on our app. "This program saved my life when my own family wouldn't believe I was sick. Thank you, Maria, for building this community." I screenshot it and sent it to Douglas. "This is why we do it." "Speaking of doing things," he responded, "the publisher called again. They really want that book." The book. I'd been avoiding it, knowing how much it would hurt to write. But maybe it was time. I opened a new document and typed, "Chapter 1. They said I just wanted attention." The words flowed easier than I expected. 4 hours later, my phone buzzed with another text from Quinn. "You might want to check Mum's Facebook. Skylar's having some kind of meltdown." Sure enough, my sister had posted a lengthy rant about ungrateful siblings and the importance of family forgiveness. The comments were full of sympathetic responses from people who didn't know the truth. I closed Facebook and returned to my manuscript. Let them have their narrative. I was writing my own. That evening, as I prepared for bed, a familiar pain gripped my abdomen. The endometriosis was still there, still untreated, but I'd learned to build a life around it, to use it as fuel rather than let it consume me. My phone showed one last notification, a voicemail from Mum. I hovered over the delete button but decided to listen. "Maria!" Her voice cracked with what sounded like genuine tears. "Something's happened. Please call me back. Please. It's about Skylar." I set the phone down without returning the call. Whatever crisis they were manufacturing now, it wasn't my problem. I'd learnt the hard way that sometimes the greatest act of self-care is simply walking away. Besides, I had a chapter to finish. The voicemails kept coming, each one more desperate than the last. By the fourth message, Mum's voice had lost its usual manipulative polish, replaced by raw panic. "Maria, please. She's in the ICU. The doctors say..." A sob broke her words. "They say she might not walk again without special therapy. Please call me back." I sat in my home office, finger hovering over the callback button, when Douglas's face appeared on my computer screen for our scheduled meeting. "You look rattled," he said immediately. "What happened?" "Skylar was in a car accident, spinal injury." The words felt strange in my mouth. "They say she might be paralysed. Are you okay?" I laughed, but it came out hollow. "Shouldn't you be asking if she's okay?" "I'm asking if you're okay." Before I could answer, my email pinged. Mum had sent a detailed message about Skylar's condition, complete with scanned medical records, the kind of proof they'd never believed when it was my health in question. "The experimental therapy program cost $67,000, I read aloud to Douglas. "Insurance won't cover it. Mum's asking me to help." "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about lying on their kitchen floor, begging for help with my surgery." My voice stayed steady. "I'm thinking about how they said I was faking it." My phone lit up, Quinn calling. I put him on speaker. "It's bad, Maria," he said without preamble. "Aunt Karen's losing it. Skylar's insurance lapsed last month because she forgot to pay the premium. She was too busy with her influencer stuff to notice. How convenient that they suddenly believe in expensive medical treatments," I muttered. "There's more," Quinn continued. "They're talking about selling the house to pay for it." "What house?" "Your house. The one you bought last year. They think you'll sell it to help Skylar." The audacity struck me like a physical blow. "They think I'll sell my house? The one I bought with my own money? Aunt Karen says family helps family." I ended the call and opened Mum's email again. There it was, buried in the middle of her desperate plea. "We know you've done well with your little internet business. The house you bought would cover Skylar's treatment. It's the least you could do after everything we've done for you." "Everything they've done for me," I repeated to Douglas, who was still watching concernedly from my screen. "Like dismissing my pain for 15 years? Like refusing to co-sign a loan that could have changed my life? Maria." "No." I stood up, pacing. "You know what the difference is? I actually had the money for my surgery. I chose to build this business instead. Skylar chose to let her insurance lapse while posting luxury vacation photos." My phone buzzed again. Skylar this time, calling from the hospital. Against my better judgment, I answered. "How dare you ignore Mum's calls?" she slurred, likely on pain medication. "I'm lying here paralysed and you're what? Too busy with your stupid chronic pain clients? Hello to you too, Skylar. Don't be cute. Mum says you have the money. You have to help me. Like you helped me." "That was different." Her voice rose hysterically. "Your thing wasn't real. This is real. I might never walk again." I felt something cold settle in my chest. My thing wasn't real. Funny how you're suddenly an expert on medical conditions. "Maria, please." Mum's voice cut in. She must have taken the phone. "Whatever issues we had in the past, this is your sister's life we're talking about." It was my life we were talking about back then too. Silence on their end. Then Mum, softer. "We'll lose everything trying to help her. Is that what you want?" "No," I said quietly. "That's not what I want, but I'm not selling my house." "Then you're killing your sister." Skylar had the phone again, screaming now. "Her blood will be on your hands." I ended the call and turned to Douglas's concerned face on my screen. "They really think I'll cave," I said, more to myself than him. "They really think they can guilt me into this. What are you going to do?" I sat back down, opened my company's financial records. Our success stared back at me in clean, irrefutable numbers. Numbers that could easily save Skylar. "Nothing," I said finally. "I'm going to do absolutely nothing." "Are you sure?" I thought about all the nights I'd suffered alone, all the times they'd dismissed me, all the years of gaslighting and doubt. "Yes," I said. "Let them learn what it feels like to beg for help and be denied. Let them understand exactly what they did to me." As if on cue, another email from Mum arrived. "We're family. You have to help." I clicked delete without reading further. They were about to learn a harsh lesson about karma, and I would be their teacher. The Zoom call request came at exactly 9 a.m. Mum's name flashed on my screen, along with Skylar's. I accepted it, steeling myself for what was coming. "Maria!" Mum's face appeared, makeup perfect despite the obvious strain. "We need to discuss the house." There's nothing to discuss. I kept my voice level. The house isn't for sale. Skylar's face joined the screen, propped up in what was clearly a hospital bed. You heartless bitch. Do you know what they're saying about my prognosis? Actually, I do. I read the medical files you sent. Unlike when I was sick, you provided actual documentation. This is different. Skylar tried to sit up, wincing. I could be stuck in this chair forever. And I could have avoided years of organ damage if I'd gotten treatment sooner. I smiled thinly. Funny how life works out. Mum leaned closer to her camera. Maria, honey, I know we had our disagreements about your condition, but this is Skylar we're talking about. Your sister needs specialised therapy. Like I needed surgery. That was years ago, Skylar's voice cracked. Are you really going to punish me for something that happened when we were practically kids? I pulled up a calendar on my screen. You were 29 when you told Mom I was faking it for attention. I was 28 when you called my needed surgery vanity treatment. That was 3 years ago, not ancient history. I was wrong, okay? Tears streaked Skylar's face. Is that what you want to hear? I was wrong. Now please, please help me. The words I'd longed to hear for years landed hollow. No, no. Mom's practiced composure cracked. What do you mean no? I mean no. I won't sell my house. I won't give you money. I won't help. You're killing me, Skylar screamed, her hospital gown slipping as she tried to move. Your own sister. My own sister. I leaned forward. Where was my sister when I needed her? Where was my mother when I was begging for help? We didn't understand then, Mom pleaded. We do now. Please, Maria. No. You understand now because it's happening to your favourite daughter. The truth felt clean, sharp. You understand because now you're the ones in pain. A nurse appeared briefly in Skylar's frame, adjusting something. Mum used the interruption to switch tactics. What about the neighbours? What will people think when they hear you refuse to help your own sister? They'll think exactly what you taught them to think about me all those years, that I'm selfish, dramatic, attention-seeking. I shrugged. You created this narrative. Live with it. I'll tell everyone, Skylar threatened, her face red. I'll post about how you abandoned me, how you're letting me suffer. Go ahead. Unlike you, I don't live for social media approval. Mum's face hardened. Your father would be ashamed. Dad left when I was 12. You don't get to use him as emotional leverage. We're your family, Mum's voice rose. Your only family. No, I said quietly. You're just people I'm related to. There's a difference. Skylar started sobbing, loud, theatrical wails that used to make me cave. I'm going to be trapped in this chair, and it's your fault. Like my chronic pain was my fault. I kept my voice steady. Like my emergency room visits were my fault. Like my need for surgery was my fault. That's not fair, I finished. You're right. It's not fair. Just like it wasn't fair when you convinced Mom I was lying, when you made me believe I was crazy, when you left me alone with my pain because it was inconvenient for you. A notification popped up on my screen, another email from Mom's lawyer about the house. I deleted it without reading. The house is not for sale, I repeated. Not now, not ever, and this conversation is over. Maria, wait, Mum started. I ended the call. My phone immediately lit up with text messages. You evil, heartless monster. Skylar. After everything we've done for you, Mum, you'll regret this. Skylar again, I blocked both numbers. Douglas called moments later. How did it go? Exactly as expected. They demanded, threatened, guilt-tripped, and cried, in that order. And you're okay? I thought about Skylar's tears, Mum's manipulation, the familiar weight of their expectations. I'm better than okay. I'm free. They'll try again, he warned. Let them. The answer won't change. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and began typing. Dear valued clients, today's wellness session will focus on setting boundaries with toxic family members. The responses flooded in immediately. People sharing similar stories, seeking advice, finding strength in each other. This was my real family now, people who understood pain, who valued truth over appearance. Let Skylar and Mom spin whatever story they wanted. I had built something stronger than their lies. Quinn's call came at midnight. You need to get on a video call with me right now. There's something you have to hear. What's wrong? Just trust me. I'm sending you a link. When the video connected, Quinn wasn't alone. Judah, Skylar's ex-boyfriend from 2 years ago, sat beside him, looking uncomfortable. Tell her what you told me, Quinn urged. Judah cleared his throat. Look, I wouldn't normally get involved, but after seeing Skylar's GoFundMe campaign, I can't stay quiet anymore. What GoFundMe campaign? Quinn shared his screen. There it was. Help save my life, abandoned by sister. Skylar's campaign had already raised $12,000. That's not why I called, Judah interrupted. Maria, do you remember when you were trying to get that surgery? When your family wouldn't help? My stomach tightened. Yes, Skylar did something. Something really messed up. He glanced at Quinn, who nodded encouragingly. She altered your medical records before showing them to your mum. The world seemed to tilt. What? She had access to your patient portal. You'd given her the password during that bad flare-up when you needed help managing appointments. She deleted test results, changed dates, made it look like doctors had found nothing wrong. My hands started shaking. How do you know this? She told me herself. We were fighting about her lying on social media, and she got defensive. Said something like, you think this is bad? I once edited my sister's medical records to convince my mum she was faking. Judah looked down. She was proud of it. I have proof, Quinn added, sharing his screen again. Text messages appeared. Conversations between him and Skylar from years ago. Skylar. Just deleted more of Maria's evidence. Mum already thinks she's faking. I'm just helping her see the truth. Quinn. That's seriously messed up, Skylar. She's always been the family burden. I'm doing everyone a favour. The timestamps matched exactly when I'd been begging for help with my surgery. I saved everything, Quinn said quietly. I should have told you sooner, but Skylar would have denied it, I finished. Like she denied everything else. My phone buzzed. Another donation alert for Skylar's campaign. The description read, my successful sister refuses to help me walk again. Please share my story. I want to talk to her, I said suddenly. Both of them. Now. Quinn hesitated. Are you sure? Set it up. 20 minutes later, Mom and Skylar appeared on the video call. Skylar had positioned herself perfectly in her hospital bed, looking tragically brave. Finally decided to help, she asked. Finally decided to tell the truth, I countered. About my medical records. The colour drained from her face. Behind her, Mom froze. I don't know what you're talking about, Skylar stammered. Judah does. I added him to the call. Want to repeat what you told me? The next 10 minutes were chaos. Skylar screaming denials, then accusations, then confessions. Mom crying, claiming she never knew, then admitting she'd suspected but chose to believe Skylar. You were always so needy, Skylar spat, her perfect victim mask cracking, always taking attention away from everyone else. Mum already thought you were exaggerating. I just helped her see what she wanted to see. By committing medical fraud? My voice was ice. By making me think I was crazy. You're still crazy. Skylar tried to sit up straighter. Look at you now, bringing up ancient history when I'm lying here paralysed. This is why everyone always took my side. You're pathological. No, Mum whispered, surprising us both. No, Skylar, this is wrong. What you did was wrong. Mum! I let you convince me, Mum continued, tears streaming. I let you convince me my baby was lying, and now... She covered her face. Oh, God, what do we do? What you always do, I said calmly. You chose Skylar, and now you're living with the consequences. Maria, please. Mum reached toward her camera. Now that I know the truth doesn't change anything. It just confirms what I already knew. I looked directly at Skylar. You didn't just deny my pain. You actively worked to prolong it, to discredit me, to isolate me. I was protecting our family. No, you were protecting yourself. And now, I smiled slightly, now you get to experience exactly what you put me through, begging for help, being dismissed, watching your GoFundMe fail while your family turns away. You can't. I can. I will. And unlike what you did to me, I leaned closer to my camera. This isn't fraud. This is justice. I ended the call on Skylar's scream of rage and Mom's renewed sobs. My phone immediately lit up with messages, but I ignored them all. The truth was finally out, and it felt like freedom. Skylar's GoFundMe campaign went viral, but not in the way she intended. Someone, I suspect Quinn, leaked screenshots of our video call to social media. Within hours, Justice for Maria was trending. Your story is everywhere, Douglas said during our emergency meeting. Media outlets are requesting interviews. Our client wait list has tripled. I stared at my screen, watching the fallout unfold. Skylar's carefully crafted victim narrative was unravelling comment by comment. She edited medical records to gaslight her own sister? This is literally criminal. No wonder Maria won't help her now. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognise. Is this Maria? This is Sarah from Good Morning America. We'd love to have you on to discuss. I hung up. Then another call, and another. You need to make a statement, Douglas advised. Control the narrative before they control it for you. He was right. I opened my laptop and began typing. What revenge really costs, an open letter. 3 years ago, I had 1,347 pounds saved for a surgery I desperately needed. When my family refused to help, I made a choice. Instead of treating my condition, I used that money to build a company that helps others like me, people whose pain has been dismissed, whose struggles have been minimised, whose families have failed them. Today, that same family demands I sell my home to fund experimental therapy for my sister. They call me cruel for refusing. They don't mention how they dismissed my illness for years. They certainly don't mention how my sister deliberately altered my medical records to convince our mother I was faking. You want to know where the money went? It went into building something bigger than my pain. Something that helps thousands of people now. Something my family can't touch, can't dismiss, can't edit away. I didn't get my surgery. I still live with chronic pain. But I built an empire from the ashes of what my family destroyed. And no, I won't burn it down to save the people who lit the first match. I hit publish and waited. The response was immediate. My post spread faster than Skylar's GoFundMe ever had. Chronic illness communities rallied. Former clients shared their stories. Chronic pain is real started trending alongside my name. Then came Skylar's response, a tearful video from her hospital bed. My sister is using my tragedy to promote her business. She's twisting everything to make herself the victim. I made mistakes, but the comments shut her down. You committed medical fraud. You gaslit your sister for years. Karma is real. Mum tried damage control, giving an interview to a local news station. We were misled about Maria's condition. We want to make amends. I posted a single response. Amends are for people who make mistakes. You made choices. Live with them. Douglas called again. The publisher wants to move up the book release. They're offering double the advance. Tell them yes. And the speaking tour. Book it. My phone buzzed with a text from Quinn. Skylar's GoFundMe is tanking. People are requesting refunds. I opened the campaign page. The comments section had become a battlefield. Requesting refund can't support someone who edited medical records. Donating to Maria's Chronic Pain Foundation instead. Karma comes for everyone eventually. Then came the email from Mum's lawyer, no longer demanding the house, but begging for a meeting to discuss terms. I deleted it. Skylar posted again, this time dropping the Victim Act for raw fury. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching me suffer while you play saviour to strangers? I replied publicly. I used the money you denied me to build the life you now want to take from me. That's not enjoyment, that's justice. The quote went viral within hours. Douglas messaged, CNN wants to do a feature on medical gaslighting and family trauma. Interested? Set it up. My phone lit up with another text from Quinn. Mum's having a breakdown. Skylar's therapy centre is demanding payment up front now that the GoFundMe failed. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my company's website and published a new blog post announcing the Chronic Pain Justice Fund, providing therapy grants to verified victims of medical gaslighting. Within minutes, donations poured in. Each one felt like another brick in the wall between me and my family's manipulation. The final blow came from an unexpected source, my father, breaking 15 years of silence with a single email. I saw the news. I should have believed you back then. I'm sorry I didn't. Too little, too late. I closed my laptop and stood at my office window watching the sunset. Somewhere across town, my family was facing the consequences of their actions. Their perfect facade had cracked, revealing the rot beneath. They wanted my story. Fine. But they get the real version, every painful, validated, vindicated word of it. And unlike the medical records Skylar edited, this truth couldn't be erased. The Lake House realtor handed me the keys with a smile. "Congratulations! It's all yours." I stood on the deck overlooking the water, breathing in pine-scented air that felt cleaner than anything in the city. My phone buzzed. Douglas calling. "How's the new place?" "Peaceful," I answered. "No drama, no family, no noise, just water and trees." Speaking of family drama, he hesitated. "Have you seen the news?" I hadn't. Hadn't looked at social media or checked my emails in days. The silence had been intentional. "Skylar's moving to a standard rehabilitation facility," he continued, "the kind insurance actually covers. Apparently, she's making progress with regular physical therapy. Good for her." "You don't sound surprised." "Because I'm not," I said, watching a boat drift by. "She never needed experimental treatment. She needed attention." My phone dinged with a message from Quinn. "Mum's selling her house. The real one, not yours. Says she needs a fresh start." "Where's she going?" I texted back. "Florida. Says she can't face people here anymore." I set my phone down and walked to the edge of the deck. Below, clear water lapped against natural rock. No artifice, no pretense, no carefully maintained image, just reality, raw and honest. The door chimed. My first delivery arriving. I signed for the package and carried the box inside. My new office was still empty except for a desk and chair, but it felt right. Clean, uncomplicated. Douglas called again. "The book hit #1 on Amazon's pre-orders." "I saw. They want to know if you'll do a dedication page." I thought about it. About all the people who deserved acknowledgement in this story. "Yes. Tell them I will." Opening my laptop, I typed, "To everyone who's ever been told their pain isn't real, this is your vindication. This is your voice. This is your victory." My phone lit up. An unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Maria?" It was Skylar, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. "I know you probably don't want to talk to me." "Then why are you calling?" A long pause. "Because you were right. About everything. The regular therapy is working. I didn't need experimental treatment. I wanted the attention, the drama, the chance to make me the villain again." "Yes." Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. You're right. It doesn't fix anything. Will you ever forgive me?" I watched another boat pass by, thinking about forgiveness, about healing, about peace. "No," I said finally. "Some things can't be forgiven, but they can be finished." I ended the call and blocked her number, the last one I still had unblocked. My laptop chimed with an email from our foundation's board. The Chronic Pain Justice Fund had already helped 30 people access legitimate medical care. Real treatment, real results, real change. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Quinn. "Nice place," he said, looking around. "Very you. How did you find me?" "Douglas. Said you might need some company while settling in." He handed me a housewarming gift, a framed screenshot of Skylar's failed GoFundMe next to my viral post. "Thought this belonged here." A reminder. Of what? That sometimes the best revenge is just living well. I hung the frame in my office, next to where my book cover would soon be displayed. The title glinted in embossed letters, Gaslighting, a family tradition. Quinn stayed for dinner. We sat on the deck, eating takeout and watching the sun set over the lake. "You know what's funny?" he said. "They thought they were breaking you all those years, but they were actually making you stronger." "Not funny," I corrected. "Poetic." My phone buzzed one last time. Douglas again. "CNN piece just aired. You're trending. Again." I turned the phone off without responding and looked out over the water. The lake was turning golden in the fading light, each wave catching fire before settling back to calm. "You seem different," Quinn observed. "Lighter." "I am." I smiled, feeling the truth of it in my bones. "I'm free." The pain in my abdomen twinged, a familiar reminder of battles fought and survived. But here, in this place I'd built from the ashes of betrayal, it felt less like a burden and more like a battle scar. I'd lost a family, but found my power. Lost their love, but gained something stronger, self-respect. The kind that comes from standing your ground, from refusing to bend, from building something beautiful out of something broken. The lake stretched out before me, endless and open, like possibilities, like future, like peace. This was my victory. Not loud or violent, but quiet and complete. And it was enough.